Okay, that should hopefully be fixed now. So let's hope that it is. So, so hopefully y'all can hear me and see me better than what you did before. Right now, it is showing excellent on YouTube side. Let me know if you're having um, any type of buffering or anything like that. So hopefully I fixed that issue, which, as we know, sometimes, again, technology is sometimes our best friend and sometimes it is not. So, but yeah, give it a few minutes for people to trickle back in here. Thank you. One man show says, "I see you and hear you great. Thank you." Um, Looks like Debbie says, "Hey, John Boy, welcome back. Thank you very much." So let me know again if all of you can hear me uh, and without buffering and everything else. But so far, uh, according to YouTube, stream is very, very good. So let me know though. Let me know in the comments. Just put like a thumbs up or put like, hey, I can see you good, and there's no buffering, things like that. So let's hopefully that's going to be that way. So, but again, YouTube is telling me that the stream is excellent. So it is telling me um, that. So again, please put I can see and hear you, or that um, thumbs up or something in the chat. Looks like we have Brother John McKinney in here, Pastor John McKinney in here. Thank you so much for being here, Pastor John. Thank you so much. You are awesome. Hopefully, you are having a great night, brother. Hopefully, that you are having a great time. So, hopefully, everything is going great with you. Just fixing some technical difficulties here, but should be up and running now a lot more smoothly than what I was just a few minutes ago. So very awesome that you are here, uh, Pastor John, Brother John. Thank you so much. Highly, highly appreciate your encouragement, your support, and everything else. So looks like we are back in business here. So looks like we are back in business here, which very thankful, very blessed for all of you. But it looks like things are running a lot better and a lot more smoothly. Um, yes, God bless you, Brother John. God bless you, One Man Show. Much love to you, brother. Much love to Brother John, to Sister Debbie, to everybody who's in here right now. And I give it a few more minutes so everybody can trickle back in. But it does seem that the technical difficulties have been fixed. So, um, yeah, so looks like we are doing good now. But again, please let me know if you do have any technical difficulties or you do have any buffering. But again, it is showing me on my side that the stream is very, very good, and the stream is very, very um, great. So thank you, Elmaya, for subscribing. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your trust and your uh, and everything else. So again, on my side, it is showing everything is excellent. It is showing that everything is good on my side. So you guys should be good as well. And with this being a new video, please like and if you would please, since I had to restart this. So please like, please subscribe, please, and please share. Please do what ever you like to do with the video. So, but please like and please subscribe. Pushing me towards 3,000 subscribers. So, very thankful for all of you. I am obviously blessed. I am obviously, number one, obviously blessed by God to have this many subscribers already. But secondly, I am blessed by Pastor John, by Brother John, because without his encouragement and without his support and without his just shouting me out, and I would not be this far along as I am now. So I do owe a lot to him, and I'm very thankful for him and his encouragement and his just love and support. So very blessed and very humbled by Pastor John, because again, I would not be here in this with this many subscribers or with all of you without Pastor John. So very thankful for him when it comes to that. So again, please like, please subscribe. If you are new here, thank you to all the people who are watching on Twitch. Thank you to all the people who are watching on YouTube. Thank you to all the people who are watching on Facebook. Thank you to all of the people who are watching on Kick. So as you can see, I am currently multi-streaming to 4 different platforms, and sometimes when you do that, there's going to be some technical difficulties in the beginning, but they seem to be fixed right now. So, but again, growing my platform day by day, and that is because of you guys. So, very thankful for that. Thank you for Maria for subscribing. Appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Um, Thank you, Melanie. Melanie McKinney is in the chat. Everybody say hi to Sister Melanie McKinney. And for those of you who may not know, Melanie is Pastor John McKinney's wife. For those of you who may not know, for those of you who might be new here, so again, everybody say hi to Melanie. Very warm welcome to Melanie. Um, and if you guys are not, and if you are new here as well, and if you do follow Storm Chasing, Pastor John is a storm chaser, and his son Freddie is also a storm chaser, Freddie McKinney. So again, if you all are new here, if any of you are new here, that's who they are in the chat. So very thankful for them. Very thankful for their um, support. And Melanie says, where is Smithville? I am not familiar with this tornado. Smithville is in Mississippi. So this is a very big, powerful EF5 that hit on April 27th, 2011, uh, in Smithville, Mississippi. So, but yeah, Mississippi, the great Mississippi. Thank you, David Torres, for subscribing. Thank you so much. I very highly appreciate that. And again, since this is a new video, since I had to restart the video, just mention again, I am very, very close to becoming a YouTube partner. All I need is a few more, some more watch hours, and I will get to the plateau that's needed, or the mark that is needed, and then I will be able to apply for YouTube partner. And again, that is because of all of you watching my content. So thank you so much for that. Very, very thankful for all of you. So just want to pass that along, that I am getting pretty close to being able to apply for YouTube partner. So, and again, that is really awesome, because when I started this journey, I didn't know where this was going to go. But again, just very blessed and very thankful. So when it comes to that, so thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. So I think we're good now. I think everything is back up and running. Looks like we got some folks back in here again. So it looks like so far everything on the stream is still saying excellent. YouTube is still saying excellent. So that is a great thing. So now, I know I mentioned before, and I talked about it before just previously, but for those of you who didn't join just briefly, just a little bit ago, I will just briefly go over and talk about what that kind of looked like that day, just briefly. Again, and again, since this is a new video, since this is starting it over again, always giving credit and glory and honor and praise to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without him none of this is possible. So just very thankful. He is just awesome. Thank you. I just thank him so much for his love, for his mercy, and for his grace, and for his support of me as well. So again, just always give credit to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for this. So very thankful, very blessed, very bold, unashamed, and unapologetic for Jesus. So again, very thankful for that. So let's jump in to just again briefly, just in case there was some of you that just didn't see the first little bit of my first video there. So again, we'll jump into it real quick. So let's dive into it. What did it look like on April 27, 2011? So we'll get into a little bit of the synopsis, a little bit of the weather meteorology side of things. But again, let's look at what the SPC had out that day. They had a high risk out, so they already knew, they had already forecasted for April 27th the best that they could. And if you almost could slam dunk something, they pretty much slam dunked this forecast that day. They did a tremendous job forecasting that day. Weather will never ever be able to forecast 100%. But that day they were pretty close to being 100% in their forecast. So high risk was put out that day, and if you look at that, that was a huge moderate risk as well. So a big, huge, moderate risk that was put out. And if you heard me mention it before, or if you didn't in my just previous video, if you will notice, there is not an enhanced risk because at that time in 2011, an enhanced risk was not in play at the NWS. It did not exist yet. Otherwise, if an enhanced risk was in play, it most likely would have been circled like this. And so we would have had the high, we would have had the moderate, and then we would have had an enhanced pretty much all up and down this corridor, that corridor. So, but again, just some cool information that an enhanced risk did not exist at that time. So, but yeah, so just want to take a look at that, just show you that. And again, this 45% tornado risk is something that you just don't ever see. It's not common, and it's very, very, very rare to see a 45% risk for a tornado. That is basically almost slam dunking the tornado and almost basically forecasting that 100%. So, uh, again, 45% is very, very uncommon, very rare. It's just completely unheard of when it comes to that. So, again, as high as they go is 60%. I've never seen 60% ever. I don't know if there's ever been an SBC outlook that's had 60% in it. Maybe there has. I don't know. But I've only seen 45% a very, very few times. And so that goes to show you that just how rare that this setup was that day on April 27th, 2011. So, very, 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 um, just the setup was just crazy that was out there. So, again, so 45% with that. And the hail was 45% risk, which is absolutely wild. Um, and the wind was 45%, and the hail was 45%. So basically, a slam dunk on all of that, basically, when it comes to that. But yes, and again, reading what they say here. So we can go back. This is very cool. You can go back and look at all the SBC outlooks from. I can't remember how far they go back, but they go back many, 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 many years. So you can just type it in. You can go to the website and type it in which date you want to see an SBC outlook, and you can look at that. But again, to get back to the wording here, what they use some very, very strong verbiage, some very, very scary verbiage, some very, very language that you don't ever see or hear them use when they say major tornado outbreak expected this afternoon and evening. They hardly ever use the word major. Major. So sometimes they'll say tornado outbreak expected, but for them to use the word major is a key indicator in your mind that would go off and go, wow, this is not ordinary. This is definitely something different. So they hardly ever use that word major. In fact, I don't ever recall a lot of different times for them using where it just says a major in there. So again, if you see major, that means that is very, very scary, that the tone that they are setting and the tone that they are using. So again, super high parameters, super high talk from the NWS, high risk, 45% tornado risk, which is completely off the chart. So again, major tornado outbreak expected is the wording that they used. And again, the word that sets that apart is major. So that is definitely something you don't see. So again, I won't beat that. Over the head. I talked about that a little bit just briefly. So, but again, if you weren't here for that, that would be something new for you. So let's move on to sort of the weather setup that was taking place that day, a little bit more into the meteorological side of things, and then we'll just jump in and understand why the Smithville EF5 was so strong and what made it kind of stand out. So again, we have to kind of understand the overview and everything that's happening in the atmosphere that day as to what produced the super strong EF5s, four of them, which to be exact, which is completely unheard of to have four in one day. That is absolutely just unbelievable. And to have four of them in one day in such a small, tight geographical spot is something else that was completely unheard of. Um, Basically, so again, we will jump in though to the weather setup for that day. So this is where we get into a little bit more of the granular details of what's going on in the atmosphere, what kind of caused, um, the parameters, things of that nature. Um, but yeah, so if we go to that, show of hands, thumbs up, things of that nature. If you guys are all still hearing me okay, if you are all still with me, you're all still learning, you're all still having fun. But please let me know if the stream is definitely not buffering or anything like that. The stream is good, so please let me know on that. Um, so, Saved by His Grace has a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Saved by His Grace, appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's on Twitch right now watching. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. Thank you to everybody on Facebook. And thank you to everybody on Kick. You guys are all awesome. But again, please let me know if you can hear me and see me good. So, Libby's got a thumbs up. Saved by His Grace has a thumbs up. So, looks like everything is going good so far. So, we will now move on to the weather setup that day. So, not going to read the whole verbiage, but basically just going to give you a 60,000 foot view overview of what's happening or what was happening throughout the atmosphere that day. So remember, if you remember yesterday's session, yesterday's weather teaching, yesterday's weather seminar, whatever you want to call them, we taught you guys, if you guys didn't know, the acronym SLIM, right? So we really need four main ingredients to come together to create tornado genesis to have tornadoes happen. And again, so we need shear, right? We need wind shear, so that's the S, and that is different winds changing as you go up in elevation. So wind speeds changing as you go up in height. So at 850 millibars, you'll have a different wind going in one direction and different speed. 500 millibars, you might have a wind going in different direction, different speed. And as you go higher up, winds might get faster and things of that nature. So again, we are having wind shear. That is shear is changing at heights, and the wind speeds changing at different heights. So that day they were off the chart. So that day, wind shear definitely in place. So again, using the SLIM acronym, the SLIM model. So definitely had wind shear. Now we need lift, right? So now we need to have lift in place. Lift is the L. So for the L for lift, we need to have something being able to lift in the atmosphere. So that helps. Cold fronts help drive lift. Warm air sinks. So warm air as it's sinking, you're able to drive when you have a cold front, or you're able to have other types of like troughs and things of that nature. It being able to create some buoyancy there, and you're able to have lift. So that is another strong primer that was in place as well for lift. And then we get into instability with the Cape values. So again, that is looking at the joules per kilogram. That is looking at the environment, looking at being unstable. So the Cape values were there. And the Cape values might actually kind of surprise you because some people might look at the Cape values and think, oh, they were probably like 5,000, 6,000, 4,000. No, the Cape values that day were actually somewhere not really much higher than the 3,000 joules per kilogram, which is still very, very volatile, which is still a lot enough to create um, a very unstable environment. But some of the Cape values, to some people, might think, well, all these EF5s are happening, so the Cape values must be off the charts. But for the Cape values, they technically were not very much off of what we call off the charts. They were not. Uh, but the instability was completely there. So far we have shear, we have lift, we have instability, and now we need now we need moisture. So now the moisture that's in there. So now if we look at it, the dew points that day around this region were hovering around in the high 60s to the low 70s. So that is enough moisture with the humidity in the air to create enough moisture there. So, which is plenty enough moisture. So, these storms had all of the ingredients that they needed in order to fire off and become what they become or what they became. And again, they had shear, they had lift, they had instability, and they had moisture. So again, slim is the model. That is what the four main ingredients for tornado genesis are. So if we look at this just as at a 60,000-foot view, right? Just a overview of it. So if we look at it, on April 27th, 2011, a strong cold front with several areas. So this is what's key here. A strong cold front with several areas of embedded low pressure extended from the Texas Hill Country northeastward towards the Arklatex and the Ozarks, and then into the lower Ohio Valley. So that is what's happening there. Um, so warm, moist air was in place due to strong southerly flow ahead of this front over Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. So again, it's primed. This area right here that we're seeing is extremely primed for large tornadoes, intense tornadoes. So this can be seen on the surface map below. So this map below, if you've never ever seen one, if this is new to you, this is what is called a surface map. So on the surface map, you will see like low pressure systems, you'll see high pressure systems, you'll see like boundaries and things like that, and millibars. So this is what is called in weather, this is what it is called a surface map. So yes, if you are new to that, that is what this is. So this can be seen on the surface map below with 62 to 66 degree dew point temperatures over these areas, and even 70-degree dew points further south along near the Gulf Coast. So again, some of them were again in middle to high to low, right around 70-degree dew points. So a very enough amount of moisture in the air. So at the upper level disturbance, an upper level disturbance sparked a broad area of showers and thunderstorms as it moved across the frontal boundary on the previous evening. The eastern edge of this line of showers and storms continued to move eastward in concert with the upward disturbance, reaching the northwest Alabama border around 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time on the 27th. So what's happening here, what they're basically are saying is that a QLCS formed and came through at about 2 a.m. in the morning. Now, why is that important for this day? It's very, very important for April 27th. So what happened in that morning time with the QLCS coming through, there was actually I know there was actually a couple few embedded tornadoes in that QLCS. But what that QLCS did when it came through was it knocked out communications and knocked out power at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, whenever it came through. it knocked out power, and it actually knocked out some NOAA communication devices as well. So that's where everything started to go downhill. So that all started about 2 in the morning. So the QLCS actually started it off on the 27th. So that played a major role into what transpired in the early afternoon to evening time that day. So again, the QLCS that came through knocked out power and it knocked out communications. So uh, so meanwhile, surface winds backed to the southeast as the disturbance moved into the area, while winds at the 850 millibar level. So we're talking about 5,000 feet. That's roughly where the 850 millibar level is. Increased to 50 to 55 knots and became more southerly. So why is that important? Because they increased and they became more southerly, which helps create that spin. It's coming up from the south, so it helps create more of that. So yes, so the combination of low level moisture and increasing shear, which is just winds changing direction and speed with height, provided the setup for damaging winds, large hail, and brief tornadoes. That we're talking about is in the early morning here. So this line experienced further intensification as it moved into northwest Alabama, especially after 4 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So they're talking about the QLCS here. And then, so this isn't even the main fireworks show yet. This is the pre-fireworks before the main show even gets taken, or gets going. So the line of severe storms pushed into northwest Alabama, prompting a tornado watch for all of northern Alabama and portions of southern middle Tennessee until 8 a.m. So it's very rare that you do see tornado watches come out so early in the morning. Uh, so again, that tornado watch would have been put out like around 4 a.m. in the morning. You don't usually see that. Uh, you do on occasions, but very, very rarely. Several tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings were issued for this line as it traversed northern Alabama. And as you can see from the radar, you get a very strong uh, visual of what that QLCS looked like. So one cell which began in Coleman County and moved northeast into extreme northwestern portions of Georgia had particularly strong rotation, which is very, very, very rare for this time of morning and what is happening here. So, this cell produced a tornado which damaged locations from Cold Springs to Hansville to Holly Pond. This supercell is circled in red in the loop below. Several reports of straight line wind damage were also reported along this line. So, again, very important to the setup here. This is what's setting up Smithville here. Uh, so it's just kind of very important to understand uh, the meteorological things that's kind of going on in the environment that set up the Smithville tornado. So again, so moving on to the second round. So that was the first round of storms that came through. This is what's called round one. Then there was a round two that day on April 27th, and then round three, which is called which is the main fireworks show. That is when Smithville takes place. So now we're going to get into round two. And again, why this plays importance into what happened later on that day in the afternoon. So relatively high shear and moist surface conditions continued through the morning and into the early afternoon as another line of showers and thunderstorms developed ahead of the approaching cold front. However, discrete cells became more of a feature as deep layer shear increased through the morning. Thank you, Rush Scotch, for subscribing. Thank you so much. Highly, highly appreciate that. The radar loop below shows the evolution of showers and storms during the late morning and early afternoon period from about 8 a.m. to about 2 p.m. So, as you can see, these storms were already basically becoming discrete in nature super early in the morning. And again, That is very, very rare. Um, so just something to think about. The second round of thunderstorms produced wind damage and hail, including ping pong ball sized hail in the Phil Campbell community of Franklin County, Alabama. And if you are familiar with Phil Campbell, so they eventually would end up getting struck by an EF5 later on in the daytime. So not only did they get some very strong storms in the morning time, they ended up getting a double whammy and getting unfortunately um, unfortunately they got hit by the EF5. So but again, wind damage was also reported at many locations in the area. A gust to 69 miles per hour was recorded by measuring equipment at the Joe Wheeler State Park in the community of Rogersville in Lauderdale County, Alabama. This quasi-line, or QLCS, with embedded discrete cells also produced a string of tornadoes, especially across portions of Limestone and Madison counties between 11:15 and basically noon. So, again, this stuff is firing off. This stuff is so there's round one at 2 a.m., 4 a.m. that went on in the morning. Now and then we got round two that fired up. So that did damage and knocked out things as well. So again, remember that first QLCS came through early in the morning, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, that knocked out a lot of communications. So again, that rendered a lot of EMS and a lot of warning systems already. They already put them in peril and put them behind the eight ball for the day. So pretty much a worst case scenario was in play and was happening. Um, so so yes, so here we get into the main fireworks show. So deep layers shear, right? And moisture increased dramatically. Listen to the term dramatically later in the afternoon and evening ahead of the strong cold front. So all this is being pushed right to the east from the strong cold front that's trailing off to the west. This combination of strong instability and high shear continued through the evening hours ahead of the cold front before it pushed east of the area to Georgia. Below is an image of 0 to 6 kilometers helicity values at 7 p.m. And you can see the dark red, which is showing that is off the charts. So we will get into this real quick, this last paragraph here, and then we will jump into Smithville. So this produced the last and most violent round of severe weather, which began around 2:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Thank you. I'm just going to say Perry. Thank you, Perry76, for subscribing. Thank you so much. Very, very thankful. Thank you so much for subscribing. So, this produced the last and most violent round of severe weather, which began around 2:30 p.m. for northern Alabama as supercells began to line up to the southwest of the area. During the early afternoon hours, the potential for destructive, that's a very, very term that is not very used a lot in the SPC verbiage and the SPC, in their language. So they are talking. So they highlighted that, and we're talking about destructive tornadoes upgrade to a rare high risk for severe weather around 1 p.m. This prompted a PDS tornado watch, so a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch, a PDS, was put in place, which was issued for northern Alabama and portions of southern middle Tennessee at 1:45. This potentially really ramped up from noon through 9 p.m. So basically about a 9-hour period of nothing but complete chaos Basically, every storm that formed was basically a right turning storm, was basically circling. It was definitely something to that has basically never almost never been seen before, outside possibly the 1974 outbreak, but very rarely is something like this where almost every discrete storm that fires up becomes a right mover, and it was just completely wild to see happen. So during this period, much of Alabama experienced numerous supercell thunderstorms, producing strong to violent tornadoes, including 5 EF4 tornadoes and 1 EF5 in the Huntsville forecast area. This was incidentally the last EF5 to strike our area since the super outbreak of 1974. So again, this information is taken out of the Huntsville, Alabama WFO. So that's what they're talking about here. Below is a loop of radar reflectivity from the High Top, Alabama radar during this time, before communications was lost to the radar at about 516. So communications, because of all the storms, because of all of the tornadoes wreaking havoc, communications were lost to that uh, radar at about 516 local time. By the late evening hours, the cold front finally pushed east of northern Alabama and across Georgia. So again, just to give you that high level of what is going on in that atmosphere, spin or shear, right? So we got the spin. So we got the wind shear there off the charts. Wind speed, the winds are changing dramatically at different heights as you go up in elevation. Things that nature. So spin is running rampant. Lift, tons of lift is happening. Got a strong cold front pushing through. So it's causing a lot of lift out in front of it. And then you got a lot of instability. Got Cape. Cape values are right around 3,000 joules per kilogram. So again, what does that mean? That is rocket fuel. That is definitely providing a lot of energy for the storms. Then you got moisture. The dew points are absolutely cooking. 60 in the low 60s, mid 60s, high 60s, even 70-degree dew points. So plenty enough moisture. So slim, definitely all the ingredients, all the four ingredients, definitely were coming into play that day. So questions, comments, concerns, anything, please let me know if you're still enjoying. Please let me know if you are still with me here, and if you are learning something. But please, thumbs up, something just to let me know that you are still being, yeah, just having some fun, So, yeah, so please definitely let me know on that for sure. So Debbie has a thumbs up. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate that. Thank you, Arab, for subscribing. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we got Debbie with a thumbs up. We got Libby with a thumbs up. You guys are awesome. Yes. So, any questions about the environment before we jump into Smithville and dive into why Smithville? Um, some great just how strong Smithville was, and just why it kind of stands out in the EF5 folklore world for. So but again, so yeah, definitely want to give you the weather synopsis of that, and why it, how much, just how much energy that it had to play with that day. Melanie gave a thumbs up. Thank you, Melanie, so much. Appreciate that. You are awesome. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's watching on Twitch. Thank you to everybody who's watching on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who is watching on Facebook. And thank you to everybody who is watching on Kick. You guys are all awesome. You guys are just so very awesome. Very thankful. Thank you, AlphaWorks, for AlphaWorks Gaming. Thank you so much for subscribing. That very awesome. Very thankful for you subscribing. Thank you so much. And again, if you haven't yet, please like, please subscribe, please share if you enjoy the content. But again, thank you guys so much for just everything and for getting me so close to becoming a YouTube partner. But so thank you so much. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, please let me know. If not, I will move on to Smithville and we can dive into that. But please, questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, any type of feedback, maybe any type of feedback that you might have to give to maybe about the atmosphere that day as well. And so, yeah, so let's talk about that and go over that. But yeah, definitely want to have a discussion regarding that. So, questions, comments, concerns, or anything in regards to that. If not, I will jump in to Smithville. And I thank you guys because I know it's definitely around dinner time. I definitely know it's around supper time, especially here in the United States. It is 7:14 my time, which is Chicago time, which is Central time. It is 8:14 off to the east, 8:15 now Eastern time. It is 6:15 Mountain time. It is 5:15 Pacific time. So I do know it is around the dinner time. I'm very thankful and very blessed that you guys are all here. You guys are all amazing and you guys are so awesome. Uh, you guys are simply very awesome. Very thankful for that. So again, if no comments or if no um, questions, then I will move forward. Thank you. Thank you, Pepito Pro Gamer, for subscribing. Thank you so much. Welcome in. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Very thankful for you being here. So thank you so much for that. Very blessed for you to be here. So looks like no questions. So looks like the stream is still doing great on let me make sure. So, looks like we're still doing great. Excellent stream here. So looks like we're doing great still on YouTube, which is awesome. So still got a great stream going. All right. So looks like we have Julie Rios. Thank you. Thank you, Julie, for being here. Definitely appreciate your support and your encouragement and for you being here. Definitely thank you for that. Great to see you in here, Julie. So very thankful. But again, so no comments, no questions, no concerns. It's time to move into Smithville and get into a little bit of deep dive into this very monster of a EF5 tornado. So, why does Smithville pretty much live in EF5 or live in tornado folklore? What is so very different about the Smithville EF5, or what is the folklore surrounding Smithville? Well, not only was it an EF5, right? Its winds were estimated to be peaked at 205. So when you hear 205, you're like, well, I've heard stronger winds than that before. I've heard of 300 mile per hour. I've heard of 321 in the Bridge Creek Moor. I've heard of plus 300 miles per hour in the El Reno 2013 tornado. And yes, there have been stronger winds. And this tornado, so this tornado pretty much topped out, as they see, peaked at 205. But remember, that's what it peaked at when it destroyed something. So it to us and to meteorologists and everybody and other people in the community, in the weather community, definitely believe that this tornado was a lot stronger than 205 miles per hour. Because remember that it is rated off of damage. So whatever that could withstand, that building could withstand. So if that building could only withstand 205 miles per hour, and it got hit by 215-mile-per-hour winds, well, it's only going to say that it peaked at 205 miles per hour, because remember, it is based off of damage, not off of the actual wind speed. So that's the way it works. So again, they say that it peaked at 205 miles per hour. They say that it was about a quarter of a mile wide. I'm sorry, about 3/4 of a mile wide. So again, a very uh, well-defined wedge. So definitely very strong when it comes to that. So why does this again? Why does this live in folklore? 205 miles per hour and about 3/4 miles wide. Well, if you look at this section right in here, you can be able to see pretty well to the right side here. So what are you looking at here? Well, what we're looking at here is that there was an SUV, uh, which I think became, which I do believe it was a actual pickup truck. So it actually was a Ford Ranger, I believe. So say call it a pickup truck SUV. It's neither here nor there at this point. But nonetheless, so if you look on the map to the left, this pickup truck SUV was sitting here. Now, when the tornado impacted it, it picked it up. It literally picked it up like a Lego or like a whatever. It picked it up and flung it all the way over here to the water tower. As you can see from the water tower, that pickup truck slash SUV dented the water tower. So, and this water tower is 150 feet roughly in the air. So it literally picked up that SUV, that truck, and flung it, carried it in the air, lifted it up 100 feet. It bounced off of the water tower and left this massive, huge dent, which looks kind of small from down here. But if you were to get closer up to it, it is a pretty large size dent. So, not only did that happen, so it flung it there. And as you can see here, the SUV strikes the water tower 150 feet above the ground, creating a dent 6 inches deep and 32 inches across. So, about 6 inches deep and about what do we call that? About 2.5 feet, just a little bit less than 3 feet across. So, again, a very big dent. So, this tornado picked up an SUV slash pickup truck, threw it into the water tower there, and dented it. So not only that though, after it does that, then it goes and it's still picking up. So it throws it into it, it hits that, it's still swirling in the air, and then it lands, over here, and you see the complete damage and carnage that is from that pickup truck slash SUV. So, could you imagine if you were looking out your door, your window, your storm shelter, hopefully in the basement or wherever you could safely look out at, to see a flying SUV slash pickup truck smash into the water tower 150 feet up in the air, and then continue to circle around in the air and then get um, dumped a little ways away. And that's what the vehicle looked like afterwards. So again, this is one of the main reasons that Smithville lives in folklore, in EF5 folklore history. Uh, so could you imagine that? That is just completely wild. Um, so so that is, again, that's one major reason why. And as you can also see too, from this aerial view, you can see the path. You can see the actual path that the tornado took. So it's coming off from the left side here. It's coming this way. It's moving along this way. And it's coming off here to the right over this direction. So it picks up the SUV here. It's moving. It's moving. It has the SUV. Bam! It smacks into the water tower. Bam! It smacks into the water tower, and then it dumps it out over here. So, thankfully, though, to the best of my knowledge, nobody was in that SUV that I know of. So, which is obviously huge, because that would have been completely annihilation. So again, so in total, the SUV traveled about 1,630 yards. So again, it got picked up over here, hit the water tower, and then lands over there. So a very, very just wild thing to even fathom, but that's what happened. That is actually documented and actually legit information. So if we go into here too as well, so if we look at it, this kind of gives us a path and the stats of it and everything else. So that's one of the main reasons why, again, that it lives in the folklore for that. Unfortunately, it did cause deaths, and a lot of people got injured, unfortunately. But the path length, as you look, 37 miles. A lot of people be like, well, that's not, but it's a lot, because it's, we don't want it to be any miles at all, period. But it did travel about 37 miles. So you look at the map, and you can tell you where it started at, goes through Smithville, and ends up over here by about Hodges, just to about the northwest of Hackleburg. So, and that obviously played in a part, because I had the Phil Campbell Hackleburg tornado. It was a different tornado, but they ended up getting hit as well. So if I backtrack, though, just a little bit to talk to you about this. So what happened before this is before it impacted Smithville. And this is another reason why, too, that it lives in folklore, is because there is data that suggests, and I'm not making this up, there is data that suggests, and that I believe might be confirmed as well, that says when this tornado touched down, so that when it was defined as a tornado, within 6 seconds, so within 6 seconds, it became an EF5. So it touched down, and you count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000. And within that amount of time, it went from an EF0 to an EF6. I'm sorry, to an EF5. So it went from an EF0 to an EF5 basically in 6 seconds. So that there is reports that suggest that, there is data that suggests that, and I do believe that the NWS does actually recognize that as happened. So look how quickly it in 6 seconds it became a monster. That is unheard of. It didn't take time to strengthen. It didn't take time to ramp up. It literally was an EF5 when it touched down on the ground, which that is not normal. That is not usually tornadoes will touch down and then gain strength over a certain amount of time. This basically was an EF5 already plopping out of the sky. So, so when you think about that, it basically became an EF5 in basically 6 seconds. Or if you want to just think about it and say it basically just was an EF5 to begin with. So that is another reason why it lives in tornado folklore and it lives in EF5 folklore because of how quickly it became a EF5. Libby says, were there so many fatalities because of structure failure or lack of being weather aware? Yes, I would assume the fatalities because um, I do believe from um, poorly built structure or not very structurally sound structures themselves. But another thing too is also too is that communications had got cut. Remember in the morning, so the EMS was having a lot of issues with getting alerts out and everything else to everybody out around that region because of the communications that had already been um, cut out that day. So again, I think it was a mixture of quite a few things there. So maybe they weren't able to be weather aware, or uh, more because maybe more people, maybe more folks relied on um, instead of their phones or whatever it may be, but they relied more on the news, the news forecasters and things of that nature. So, but yeah, I think it definitely would be a mixture of both here, Libby. At least from what I've seen, there's quite a few things that go into play when we're talking about the injuries and unfortunately the fatalities that happen. So I think it was um, a communications failure just because of the power outage and because of the storms ransacking the communication lines. Then I think it was just the structures that it got hit, and I think that maybe too, people didn't have the warning. Again, the pre-warning or the ample amount of time to become weather aware from that. So again, just just quite a few or a couple of different reasons why when it comes to that. Um, so that's I think is just it's kind of a mixed bag. Looks like we got Sonia in here. Thank you, Sonia. Hello to you, Sonia. Thank you so much. Thank you to Alan. Alan for subscribing. Thank you. But great question there, Libby. Very great question. So when it comes to that, so again, Smithville, it basically was an EF5 from the beginning. It basically took 6 seconds, but again, I just keep reiterating because of how fast it went from 0 to 5, and it took absolutely basically no time at all. So that is completely unheard of. So, when you think about something like that, and you got storm chasers that are out there, and you got, if you are a storm chaser or you ever, that's why that's why you have to always have escape routes. That's why you have to always have safe routes. You have to have places to go because you just never know how quickly that tornado can blossom and become so large and so violent so quickly. You just don't know how quickly that's going to happen. So imagine uh, yourself, just make sure that you are giving yourself enough distance and enough time because you just don't know. And this is a great example. This tornado is a great example of just how violent and how quickly a tornado can happen. So remember, there is precedence. And so you definitely have to always have an escape route. multiple if possible, definitely. So, but yes, but great question again, Libby. Great to see you, Sonia. If you're new here, if you're just joining in, thank you to the people on Twitch. Thank you to the people on Kick. Thank you to the people on YouTube, and thank you to the people on Facebook. You guys are awesome. You guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I do know what it is. Like I said, I do know what it is. Supper time. It is dinner time. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and learning a little bit about some Smithville here. So, but again, Smithville lives in folklore for those main two reasons when it comes to that. So, not only not only does it um, smack this water tower and then hurl it over here, which is completely wild. That's one of the major reasons. Um, you can look at the aerial view here of the damage of the tornado path. That is um, very large as well, and it also caused immense ground scouring. That was another reason why it's so violent, is because of the ground scouring that it left behind as well. And if you're not familiar with what ground scouring is, it's basically when a tornado digs into the dirt or digs into the pavement or digs into whatever it goes across, dirt, sand, pavement, whatever it may be, and it leaves behind scouring. It leaves behind a trail of what it's going through. So, in the Philadelphia tornado, which was a different one this day, but the Philadelphia, Mississippi tornado that was digging up 2 feet trenches of ground scouring. So, again, even if you were 2 feet underground there, you weren't even very safe because that tornado would have been digging up right on top of your head. So, that is pretty wild to even think about for the Philadelphia one. I don't quite know if the Smithville got that deep as well, but I do know Smithville did cause a very large amount and very wide amount of ground scouring that left a lot of the NWS personnel in awe when they saw it. So that says a lot when it comes to that. So again, we look at the track map. We look at uh, how it where it intensified at. They're able to go back and calculate, where it was when it became into the intensity. So just very good on that when it comes to that. So a lot of other great, um, basically get into uh, talking a little bit about more of. Libby says that is pretty deep. How deep do they usually put ground shelters? That's a great question. I don't exactly know how deep they do ground shelters. I've seen people go into ground shelters. So if I'm just calculating just of watching people go underneath and into a ground shelter, I would say it's probably at least 10 feet deep, at least under the ground. Because if you do about normal height, which is about uh, we call that 5 feet. We call that about 6 feet. We'll just say 6 feet, and then uh, you got the dirt and the ground placed on top of that. So I do believe it's probably at least 10 feet. They probably put it underneath ground, if not more. I'm not 100% sure. But I do know, and there are pictures, and I don't know if it's from Smithville or not, but there are actually pictures of one of these EF5s that day that were actually pulling some of the storm shelters out of the ground. And there's a picture of one of the storm shelters just barely sticking out of the ground. So even if you were down in your storm shelter or your underground shelter, you weren't very safe. And that is, well, I mean, you were the safest spot, but even think about your storm shelter being picked up out of the ground, that is a tremendous amount of force that is over on top of you. So that is extremely wild to even think about. But if you ever see the picture, there is a photo of at least one storm shelter that is plugged, that is pretty much poking itself out of the ground, and it's not supposed to be doing that, obviously. So, I do not know, Libby, again, but if I had to estimate, I would say at least 10 feet, if not deeper, uh, in the ground there. So, um, because I do know they're pretty much like a big, um, I don't know what to call it, like a big room, a big tub, a big, uh, I don't even want to how to even. I've seen some of them before, uh, like before they get put into the ground, and they're like a big, you know, shelter, or whatever, big room, and then they put it into the ground, and then they put all the dirt on top of it, and then it's got the staircase, that sticks up, out, so you can go down into it. Um, but again, the door, remember, the door is exposed to the outside because you have to use the door, uh, to get in. So the door will always be exposed to the outside there. So, uh, but besides that, yes, it is pretty wild to think that you could have been underground in the safest spot and that it was pulling on the underground shelter, trying to rip it out of the ground. That would have been a scary, scary feeling, when it comes to that. So, before I move on to a little bit more about the folklore of Smithville and just how strong it was, how fast that it became an EF5, how damaging it was, and any questions, any comments, any um, concerns or anything when it comes to that. Um, because I definitely would love to know, um, if you guys have any questions. So, and please let me know. And thank you, Libby, for all of your questions as always. If anybody else has any questions, anything to just add, please let me know to that. Yes, so please let me know if you have any questions, or anything like that. Very good to see you, Julie. Very good to see you, Debbie. Very good to see you, Libby. Very good to see all of you in here. And again, very thank you so much for all of you, just, for hanging out and for enjoying my content and for enjoying learning about weather, learning about all this together. And hopefully, this is some information that you didn't know about, just how ridiculous that this tornado was, um, and what it did, unfortunately, there. So, but yeah, so please let me know. Give about a couple more seconds here and let me know if you have any questions regarding what we just talked about, what we just went over. So, so it's very, very, very good. So, what I just saw a question. Uh, Come back here. Uh, Julie says, "What were the? If I can pull it back up. What were the conditions the day before the Smithville EF5 formed?" Even the conditions the day before were pretty volatile as well. So if we go back, so we have April 27th, right? That's the main day, the main fireworks show. But if you go back to the 25th, the 26th as well, there was actually quite a few tornadoes on the 25th and the 26th as well. So again, we had a negatively tilted trough that was ejecting out of the Rockies, that was coming, out, that ejected out to the east out of the Rockies there. So, Negatively tilted just means basically it can be stronger storms, stronger um, initiation, things of that nature. So, but yes, conditions. So actually, there was actually quite a few tornadoes on the 25th and the 26th, and basically the environment was basically ramping up each day. It was getting more and more saturated, more and more primed for the 27th. So yes, so the conditions before that, you still had a lot of what we called, the acronym SLIM. There was still great wind shear that was in place. There was still a lot of lift that was in place, still instability in place, and still moisture in place, all the way from the 25th, 26th, 27th, and you have to remember after the 27th, even on April 28th, as this system moved off to the east, it even caused it. There was tornadoes and stuff in North Carolina and things of that nature. So this outbreak, the whole line of the outbreak is basically considered from the 25th through the 28th of April. Now the 27th just stands out obviously because of everything that transpired that day. That was where basically everything came together. Um, like the best it could ever pretty much come together and almost like weather history and pop off. But yes, but to answer that question, Julie, that the environment was already primed for everything from the 25th, 26th, and then so there was already storms happening. There was already tornadoes happening. There was already a lot of severe weather that was already happening, and all the parameters were already in place. So yes, and so yes, there the conditions were favorable again from the 25th, 26th, 27th, and the 28th. So pretty much a 4-day outbreak of things, but the main outbreak again was on the 27th. So hopefully that answered that for you, Julie. That the conditions were favorable. Actually, even 2 days before that the conditions were favorable. And again, due to wind shear in the great wind shear in the environment, lift, uh, instability, and moisture that was available. So, so hopefully that answered that. Let me know if you want me to explain that a little bit more in depth or in detail. But if that suffice, please let me know as well. But thank you so much for that, Julie. Definitely appreciate that. So, but yes, the environment was primed for days. Um, so, so thank you so much again for that, Julie. Great question. So if we look at again, we looked at a lot about that. We looked at a lot of the parameters. We looked at uh, everything that um, I talked about. We talked about the setup. We talked about what was going on there. So if we look at a little bit more into the folklore about that again, this is going to give you a little bit more insight to the whole water tower incident and things of that nature. Um, but I'll back up just a little bit there because I guess this actually give you an overview. Um, so the funnel itself explicitly touched down at exactly. Uh, Actually, I just saw. Hold on give me a second. I just saw something in the chat here, and that was. Okay, awesome. You're welcome, Julie. Thank you very much for that. So, but yeah, so if we go back and we look at the funnel itself, this was actually so if we go back and look, so after producing a long tracked EF3 tornado that passed near New Wren, the same supercell produced this tornado. So it cycled. So this comes from a cycled storm, uh, from a cycled uh, thunderstorm. So the same supercell produced this tornado that began 3 miles west-southwest of Smithville along the Tennessee Tamayo Waterway near Glover Wilkins Lock at about 3:42. The funnel itself explicitly touched down at exactly 3:43, snapping numerous trees near the Smithville recreational area and scouring the ground. So again, scouring the ground, complete, just unfathomable type of scouring that was going on at this point. So, and then as the tornado crossed the Davis Road south, the ground was deeply scoured in a nearby field, leaving a trench in the ground that was still visible in aerial photographs taken more than a year later. So after a year that it scoured this ground, you could still see it a year later from the air. That's how deep it was. That's how insane that the ground was scoured that day from that. So that tells you just how deep those trenches were that day. Just how deep that scouring was. So, um, the tornado began producing intense damage and swept away multiple homes and structures as it moved northeast following Mississippi 25. So, and then, talk about cinder blocks from the structure were broken into small pieces of concrete and strewn throughout the nearby field. A semi truck was thrown 300 yards and destroyed in this area, and an RV was thrown 250 yards and partially embedded in the ground nearby. So it picked up an RV and put it inside the ground and embedded it in the ground. So again, very, very strong. This thing is super intense. Very, very violent. This is what would be called a violent tornado. So a second semi truck was completely torn apart, with only its bumper later found hanging from the struts of the Smithville water tower, located 1.25 miles to the northeast. One brick residence was swept away along this segment of the path, as well as part of its concrete foundation slab was pulled up and slightly dislodged. So this is another reason why too that it lives in EF5 folklore. Not only it pulled up the foundation slab, it actually pulled the slab up. It didn't just slab the house, because it did, but then it started pulling the actual concrete up out of the ground. That is something that you just never ever hear of. You do hear of tornadoes slabbing homes, yes, but you do not hear of tornadoes actually starting to rip the concrete foundation, the concrete slab out of the ground. You just don't hear that. That's how violent, but not just violent, that's how strong that updraft was at that time. That's how strong the suction was at that time. That is ridiculous to even think about. Now that the slab, the concrete slab, is actually being trying to be ripped out of the ground. That again is something that you just don't hear of in tornadoes. Only in the most violent, most strongest ones will you ever hear something like that. So that's why this is very, very rare and lives again in EF5 folklore for reasons like that. So the tornado, the one brick residence was swept away along the segment of the path as well, and part of its concrete foundation slab was pulled up and slightly dislodged, with intense ground scouring and debarking of trees noticed on the property. If you don't know what debarking of trees is, it's exactly what it means. It means if you go outside right now and you look at a tree and it's got all of its bark on it, and then the next second, and then you go back inside your house and you make you a cup of lemonade, or you make you some tea or some coffee, and then you go back outside and look at that same tree and it's completely naked. It's completely stripped of all of its bark. It looks very, very weird. It's a naked tree. It has nothing on. So, if that's exactly what debarked means, it means it is taking all of its bark off. And if you ever had pulled off bark before off a tree, sometimes it does fall off pretty easy, but sometimes it doesn't. So think about the force of the winds that have to be going against that to take all of that bark off the tree. That is very, very intense. So to see a naked tree is very, very strange. It's very, very weird because it's not something that we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing uh, so yes, so we're used to seeing bark all the time, obviously on trees. So when you see a naked tree, it is very strange. But just know, if you ever see a naked tree, know it took immense power to do that. So Julie says, you've likely seen comments by people, namely Europeans, who think brick and concrete would help with regard to home destruction. I don't live in a tornado. In a tornado area, tornadoes do happen in California. Yes, they do happen in California, but very, very rarely. But yes, um, very good point, though. Very good point out there, Julie. Thank you so much. So, the higher on the scale the trainers are, the more destructive it is. EF5, absolutely nothing is spared. Yes, that is true. EF5 is basically just obliterating everything. The EF5 is basically leaving nothing standing, especially if it takes a direct hit. Now, things are on the outside of it, right? Outside of the wind column and outside of the wind field, obviously some things will be left standing. But if you're going to take an exact direct hit from 201 miles an hour of wind or greater, you are basically nothing is going to be left standing. There's just things that just aren't built strong enough to withstand that. So absolutely, Julie, what you are talking here, what you are pointing out. So yes, so it will do what's called slabbing. It will slab the house. It would take the house, and it'll basically be like, if you've ever built a Lego house or whatever, and you just pushed it over. That's basically what it's doing. It's taking it and then it's wiping it clean. It looks like the house never was there. It looks like it has a fresh slab concrete foundation that's there. So that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like there was never a house there. So, and then they will look at again, like, and then this goes into like a damage indicator is, was that house bolted down? Did it have a lot of bolts, and was it bolted down into the concrete slab? And then so if it ripped out the bolt anchors along with the house and slabbing it, that's when they really know that that was an EF5, because it ripped all the anchors out of the ground as well, and it takes immense force to do that. But again, to get back to just the sheer power of this tornado itself, is it was actually trying to pull up the concrete and dislodge the concrete. That is insanely that and wild. For it to actually be pulling the concrete out of the ground, it's something that is just completely violent and completely strong. So, or just completely wild to even think about. So, but yes, thank you, Julie, so much for that. Thank you for that information. I definitely appreciate that. So, with intense ground scouring and debarking trees noted on the property, the tornado slightly weakening yet maintaining EF5 intensity. Scour the topsoil to a depth of 1 foot. Okay, so it did drive a 1 foot ground scouring. So if you were laying 1 feet under that ground or anything like that, that tornado still would have ripped you out of that ground. So that is it definitely so that was digging at least a 1 foot trench in the ground. That is completely wild to even think about. Some metal storage buildings and 14 mobile homes were obliterated nearby, with metal framing from some of the mobile homes thrown and twisted into pieces. So again, this is getting into talking about what Libby asked a little bit earlier about structures and things of that nature. So again, this EF5 hit 14 mobile homes, and you can imagine what happens when an EF5 hits a mobile home. That is, it's annihilation. It's annihilation when it hits a brick home, let alone hits a mobile home. So, unfortunately, that is what happened there with a lot of destruction. And Libby says, I don't think trees regrow their bark. I don't think they do either. I am not a tree, I don't know 100% about that. I don't know a lot about trees. But I don't think they do either. I think they cut them down after they do get debarked. I'm pretty sure they end up just cutting them down. I don't know if they're salvageable or not. Not 100% sure on that, but good point out there, Libby. Definitely. So now we get into a little bit talking about the again that Ford Explorer as we talked about earlier, and I showed you the pictures earlier about that Ford Explorer hitting. So I said it was a Ford Ranger, so I was wrong. It was actually a Ford Explorer, so it was an SUV. Uh, but nonetheless, um, so that Ford Explorer was thrown a half mile. So where it picked up that Ford Explorer at, it picked it up a half mile away. And remember, if we go back just a few minutes ago, I showed you the path that SUV took. So it picked it up a half mile away, threw it into this to the water tower, threw it into the water tower. Then it bounced off of it again. Remember, leaving a huge dent, and was hurled an additional quarter mile. So it picked it up a half mile away from the water tower, threw it into the water tower, and then carried it again for another quarter mile. So basically, from where that SUV started at, it basically landed about 3/4 of a mile away from where it began at. So again, it was hurled, it was twirling in the air for a half mile, hits the Smithville water tower, leaves a huge dent in it, bounces off, and gets carried again for another quarter mile. That is ridiculous. And remember that water tower is 150 feet up in the air. So, um, so when it comes to that, so it hurled a quarter mile before impacting the ground and eventually coming to rest on the opposite side of the city. So that SUV started on one side of the city and it ended up on the opposite side of the city. That is just completely wild to even think about when it comes to that. So from then on, the tornado strengthened even further as it reached peak intensity, tearing into the town's eastern subdivision as it destroyed several homes and buildings at violent intensity. Flooring tiles and steel plates were removed from foundations. So that is extreme amount of force that is going on. Um, So yes, Sonia says same when a lightning hits a tree. Yeah, I would agree with that too. I would definitely. And then Sonia also says that blows my mind of a vehicle being hurled that far. Yes, it is just ridiculous to think that it was picked up a half mile away, tossed into the water tower, and then it tossed again a quarter mile after that. So that is just absolutely wild to even think about that. So and to think and to have that dent in there. So thank you, Zoe, for subscribing. Thank you so much. Highly appreciate you being here. Thank you. Uh, highly appreciate that. So hopefully you um, just thank you so much. Definitely appreciate that. So when it comes to that, so yes, so the city hall, the post office, four churches, several businesses, a water system, um, and a police station were all destroyed as a tornado moved through town. And then tar and chip pavement was torn from a road in town and rode into piles. That is wild. Tar and chip pavement was torn from a road in town and rode into piles. Intense ground scouring was ordered for several areas, and a 1965 Chevrolet pickup truck was thrown from one residence and never found. They never found the vehicle. That's wild. They've never found the vehicle. Several other vehicles in town were thrown hundreds of yards, torn into multiple pieces, stripped down to their frames, or wrapped around trees as well. Some instances of damage show that many of the vehicles wrapped around trees encountered extreme subvortices. Thank you, Gabriella, for subscribing. Thank you so much for being here. Definitely highly appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. Some instances of damage show that many of the vehicles wrapped around trees encountered extreme subvortices, with some sections of sheet metal having been wrapped around trees multiple times. That is violent. The local medical clinic was destroyed as well, while with supplies being scattered around the city. Uh, so the fact that so not only was it horrible was happening, the people who needed help, the people who needed aid and needed first aid and first services and things of that nature, the fact that the local medical clinic was destroyed and the supplies got scattered everywhere, so the medical clinic really couldn't even help out the people in their own town because they got hit and struck, and all of their supplies went scattered everywhere else. So pretty pretty heartbreaking just for that to be happening through that. So again, so then it talks about, so basically it's basically to get into just how strong that this tornado was, and again the folklore of it, and this is what draws me to it, right? Is again basically going from an EF0 to an EF5 in 6 seconds. You just don't ever hear about that. You just don't ever see that. That's just very, very rare, if not, it has not ever happened before. Don't know. I don't even know if they keep records of that. They may or may not. So that lives in EF5 folklore. The other one, uh, the other one is obviously the Ford Explorer being tossed into the water tower and bouncing off, and then being flung again another quarter of a mile down the road. So it started on one side of the city, it ended up on the other side of the city. Very, very uh, heartbreaking and damaging to see. So, and then the other one is a ground scouring that goes along with it, and the fact that it was actually ripping out foundations out of the ground, ripping up slabs out of the ground. That is so. This is one of again, when you look at strength. So sometimes people will say the strongest tornado was whatever the highest wind speed was. That was the strongest one. But a lot of times people will look at ground scouring and things that it did more near the ground. And sometimes people will say, well, that actually that tornado was the strongest tornado. So some people actually believe that this Smithville tornado is actually one of the strongest tornadoes to ever be documented and to ever be recorded in U.S. history, along with the Philadelphia tornado of the same day. Um, so again, everybody has a little bit of different view of that when it comes to what is technically the strongest EF5. So people have different views and competing views on that, and that's fine. That's completely fine to have. But again, some people, if you ask them, will say that the Smithville was ranks up there in the top three, if not one or two of the strongest tornadoes ever to be recorded. So, so again, it was about a path of about 37 miles, but in that path, it did extreme damage. And uh, to just what it did again to that SUV and picking it up and hurling it into the water tower is again something that sticks out all the time. If people talk about Smithville and if people know about Smithville tornado, that is a main topic that it usually gets brought up and talked about from that. So then not only that, the debarking of the trees, the wrapping around the cars around trees, but not only just once, but multiple times of having the frame wrapped around trees like string, and then shredding, actually shredding cars down to their frames. So imagine you walk out to your car and you have your door, obviously, that you opening up, and it's got all of its fenders, it's got all of its panels, quarter panels, side panels, things of that nature. Now imagine you go in again and you make yourself a glass of lemonade, a glass of tea, or make yourself some coffee. You go back out and it's just your frame sitting there. Your doors are gone, your windshields are all gone, Your tire, everything's gone. It's just a ball of metal sitting there. It's just your frame. That is takes an immense amount of power to do. It is basically just shredding the outside of it and leaving the inside. So basically, think about when you peel an apple, when you peel off the skin off an apple, that's basically what it did to these vehicles. It basically peeled off the skin and basically left the inside exposed. So, had anybody been in these cars, and hopefully that nobody was, it clearly was not a safe space, not a safe place, and unfortunately, if anybody was in there, it probably did not end up very well, unfortunately. So that is an immense power to do stuff like that. So again, Smithville, this tornado is extremely, extremely violent, and that's why it lives in the folklore of EF5 tornadoes. Not just EF5 tornadoes, but in all tornadoes that have ever been recorded. So when it comes to that, so again, it is a very, very violent, violent tornado. And again, the setup was all there, the parameters were all there. You can see from this picture here, you can see the big wedge that is right here in this picture. It's a big, huge wedge. Now the damage, I was thinking about showing the damage, but I was like, I want to kind of leave the damage out of it because I think we can. I think showing the pure raw power of it picking up um, the SUV and putting it and tossing it into the water tower just purely speaks for itself when it comes to that. And you can imagine what the damage looked like after that. That had to be a horrible scene to walk up upon and not recognize your city, recognize your street, recognize where you were at. Um, so that's what. So if you hear a lot of people talk about after a tornado, is when they come up, from their location or they come up out of their safe spot, and if their city around them or block around them has been destroyed, a lot of times people will say, I don't even know where I'm at. A lot of people will get turned around and they'll get confused because a lot of times our brains use structures as points. We use that as waypoints. We use it as identifiers. So when a building goes away, or when a house goes away, or when a certain tree or something goes away, and you don't have that identifier anymore, a lot of times confusion will set in because you don't know which way you're looking, you don't know which way you're facing. So a lot of times people will say when they come up and they first see that, they will say that they don't, they'll be getting their bearings and not understanding where they're at because they've lost all those identifiers to what their brain is used to seeing and telling them where they're at. So, um, so it's just very, very awesome. To see the raw strength of this Smithville EF5 tornado when it comes to that. So it's just very, 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 very strong, obviously, but it lives in that folklore because of that. When it comes to that, so basically, that is the rundown, the overview of the high level overview of why, um, again, why the Smithville EF5 lives in the folklore of all tornadoes, and that it gets rated a lot of times up there as being one, or if not the strongest tornado ever recorded, due to its just pure strength that it caused upon the ground, and things of that nature. So that is the um, the session of the topic today. So, questions, comments, point outs, anything that just kind of blows your mind from Smithville, maybe stuff you did know, maybe stuff you did not know. But yeah, what open it up to some uh open it up to questions, open it up to just anything to point out, anything that you maybe hopefully learned, things of that nature. So, but yeah, let's open it up and start our fireside chat. So, Julie says, this one, El Reno, Joplin, absolute monsters. Yes. And this one doesn't get a lot of the, uh, what should I say, recognition or a lot of the media play that like El Reno does. But obviously, El Reno gets it for obviously unfortunate reasons because of obviously what happened that day. Very sad that happened that day. And then Joplin too obviously gets it because Joplin went through a heart of a city. But if you would have put Smithville tornado in Joplin's EF5 place, it would have been just the same as much catastrophic, maybe if not even worse. So when it comes to that, but yeah, Smithville does not get a lot of the media uh, um, exposure. You have to really kind of dig into like Smithville and the Philadelphia, Mississippi one, Rainsville one, and the Phil Campbell Hackleburg one. Those are just complete monsters, and the more you dig into them, the more you see the complete damage and just how destructive and how strong that each one of those were. So yeah, so definitely good point out there. Yes, definitely El Reno, definitely Joplin, uh, and then of course, but yeah, Smithville does not get a lot of the media coverage, but had it struck a city like size like Joplin, it definitely would. And but again, you got to dig into it a little bit more to see the actual raw power of it. But why tornado enthusiasts and why tornado experts and tornado lovers, scientists, things of that nature, all um, um, are just drawn to Smithville is because of the pure power of what it did to a lot of the vehicles there and a lot of the ground scour and things of that nature. So very great on that. Very great point out there. So, um, but yeah, great on that. And then, but yes, any other questions about Smithville? About Julie says, I've only been following storm chasing going for 4 years. Very thankful for all the good chasers out there. Yes, very, very thankful for, of course, Pastor John, Freddie, his son Freddie, uh, Tanner Charles. I mean, there's so many. I could just go down a list for hours. So many great chasers out there. And again, if you were ever chasing a storm like this, you definitely have to have multiple routes of escape because this is definitely not a storm, not a tornado that you ever want to get caught with or caught in front of, and so it's very very when it comes to this. Sonia says it was Joplin or El Reno that one of my friends ran. Sorry, what did it say here? Let me go back up and find it. Her friends ran from in an 18 wheeler. Oh wow, uh, that would be very very in an 18 wheeler. Wow, that doesn't seem like you could gain a lot of ground on that, just because of what an 18 wheeler is. So, but wow, hopefully they're okay, and hopefully that they, everything worked out great for that from that. So, But yes, that would definitely. Libby says, "Wow, Sonia, I bet they had quite the story to tell." I would assume so. Yes, absolutely as well. So, uh, chasing for a cause says storm chasing is not easy. I would know. Laugh out. Yes. Thank you for being here. Chasing for a cause. Thank you so much for joining in. Uh, don't know if you just joined or if you have been in here, but thank you so much for joining in and being here. Definitely appreciate that. Uh, but yes, as chasing for a cause says, yes, storm chasing is not easy. Um, it is not. I mean, I've never storm chased, so I can't talk from personally experience. I can only talk from what I've talked to other storm chasers about, and and learning from other storm chasers and watching other storm chasers and gathering information. But again, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, and it's definitely not all rainbows and roses. Um, there's going to be a lot of failure, so you definitely have to be able to deal with failure because there's going to be a lot of failure in storm chasing. Um, it just is what it is. Um, but again, yes, definitely. But very thankful that chasing for a cause that you are in here. Chasing for a cause that I love watching. Thank you so much. Uh, Libby says, "How long have you chased for chasing for a cause?" Yeah, that would be cool. Let us know. Chasing for a cause. How long have you been chasing for? That'd be awesome. Just because I do it, I don't mean I know everything. I still learn. You have to be on your toes. Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, you always got. I would assume you definitely would have to always keep your head on a swivel, 360 swivel, right? Because you just never know where a tornado is going to pop out. Now, of course, we have mezzos and you got everything else, but you just always have to understand that you have to always be aware and be looking at that sky and scanning that sky at all times because you don't know exactly what's going to be happening around you. So, Julie says a chase could look promising, but then nothing happens. It's something that any would be chaser. Yes, any would be chaser needs to accept. Yes, chasing for a cause says I chased the May 16th, 2025 tornado that went through Somerset. Oh wow. Oh wow, that was a big one. That was a big one last year. Yeah, Somerset. That one was hit pretty hard, if I'm not mistaken, up there in Kentucky. So, um, but Somerset also sounds familiar too, because I almost want to say that that was the same region that got hit. What was that? When what 2021 up around that time? Um, the Mayfield tornado. I think Somerset's close to Mayfield. I could be wrong, uh, but but Somerset for some reason is ringing a bell when it comes to that. So, chasing for a cause says it was 70. It was 70 miles on the ground. Wow. So, okay, he said no, it's not. Okay, so I'm thinking of something else then. Okay, uh, and then yeah, I think of Dawson Springs then probably Dawson Springs, Mayfield. Okay, that's probably what I'm thinking of. So, but for some reason, Somerset was saying it was standing out. But nonetheless, yes, Somerset was definitely a big one last year. Yeah, I think I remember a little bit about that one. But yeah, 70 miles on the ground. That's a long time for that. So, um, that is definitely big. So, okay, yeah, London. Okay, I tore London up in Kentucky. Yep. Okay, that's ringing more of a bell. That one is so. Now it is. It said, yep, it says it tore London up. Yes. Okay. Started in Missouri. Okay. Yeah, so that was on the ground for, man, 70 miles. That's a long time. That's a very long time for that to be on the ground. You just never know, man. I mean, just that's what some people. It's like if people don't know about tornadoes, or they just think tornadoes just touch down and then they lift up within like a few minutes. Or now, granted, a lot of them do, um, but I mean, tornadoes can go on like again 70 miles, 90 miles. I mean, they can go on forever as long as they can with as forever as long as the gradients are there and the storm keeps it on the ground. So they can go on for just as long as it's dictated. So by that, um, but yeah. So oh wow. Chasing for a Cause says that's all I know, but it was the same cell that started in Missouri. I think it went 650 miles. We had three that night. Wow, that's pretty wild. Did you get any good footage though, or any type of good video or or photos from that? Libby says it's also unnerving when you know it's hitting loved ones and you can't do nothing about it. Yes, that is a sinking feeling. It's a horrible feeling. Yes. Debbie says yes, it does. Me too. There, Sonia. Just like there's some severe weather in Colorado there today or yesterday. Night. Yep. And then yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Libby says that is a long intense chase. Yes, definitely for sure. Yeah, but again, hopefully chasing for a cause. Hopefully you got some good video from that or good photos from that. If you did, and if you did, if you have them in a link or something, put them in a link. Put the link here in the chat. Would love to uh, boost you and be able to obviously support that. So if you do, because I think that we all would like to see something like that. So um, Sonia says, Debbie, I didn't know about severe weather in Colorado yesterday. Okay. Um, yeah, there is some. We do have some severe weather going on right now as well, and the ticker should be updating and moving. Sometimes it likes to get stuck, but it should be um, moving and letting us know of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings and things of that nature. I just seen, what did I see? Chasing for a Cause says, no, I got one video, but you can't see it good. I was caught off guard with it and just took after it. I would try to work on it. Oh, okay. It makes sense. That's cool. That's cool. Definitely so. Uh, but yeah, so hopefully everybody is um just being uh, weather aware, weather prepared, because you just never know exactly the strength of that tornado and what that tornado can do. So again, uh, thank you to everybody who's tuning in on Twitch right now. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in on Facebook. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in on Kick. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. If you are new here, please like and please subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. It helps get my um, content out there, and it helps me grow. And I am very humbled and very appreciative of your support. So thank you so much for that. And again, if you are new here, um, the way that I run my weather sessions, my weather teachings, my weather seminars is I will talk about the topic first, and then after teaching on the topic, we will get into some fireside chats and Q&A is all the time throughout the teaching and through everything else. So we stay interactive with each other. Oh, so yes, so thank you all for being here. Very humbled by all of your views. Very humbled by all of you tuning in. Very humbled by all you being here. So definitely love being interactive with all of you. Definitely love all that. So Chasing for a Cause says, yeah, because they didn't sound the alarm 5 minutes before it slammed in. Wow. Okay. That's why you just can't rely on, um, you know, alarms and radar, because there's going to be lags, there's going to be delay. And the National Weather Service, unfortunately, are going to get things wrong. It's just the way that it is. So that's why being weather aware and weather prepared is the best option and the best route. Um, so again, having alerts on your phone, having a NOAA weather radio, having anything you can just look at. But not only that, because of course, if you're not gonna if they are late in sounding the alarm, if you are already aware that inclement weather is approaching your way, I would obviously highly recommend that you have a radar pulled up or something something like that, to know that if a tornado is approaching, or if you know severe weather is approaching, but at least maybe have on local weather, things of that nature. So, because again, the NWS sometimes is not going to sound the alarm, and a lot of times there's a lot of times there are actually a lot of tornadoes that never go warned. So a lot of times tornadoes will happen without any warning, and it's just the unfortunate. That's just the way that it works sometimes, that it happens. So again, um, it's unfortunate when it does that. So Sonia says, what upsets me is many towns that don't have tornado sirens. I want to try to change that because it would save lives. This is why chasers are so important. Yes, exactly. Storm chasers function as tornado sirens as well. Storm chasers function as first responders. They function as, eyes on the ground. And thank you, Raphael, for subscribing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support and your encouragement. But yes, definitely, you definitely storm chasers actually provide that great resource that radar cannot provide. So, because the radar can only see to a certain point towards the ground, anyways, above the ground. So we need eyes on the ground to visually see below where the radar cannot see through. So, chasing for a cause, the main thing is just learning your clouds. Yes. Then the wind shifts and temperature changes. Yes. I would definitely, uh, I would definitely, as chasing for a cause says, yes, learn clouds. Clouds are very important. And like I've uh, taught throughout some of my weather sessions so far, is if you know the cloud formation, or you know what the cloud looks like, and you see that cloud off in the distance, or you see that cloud coming at you, you can know exactly what, or you would know pretty much what you are facing up against. So if you see a shelf cloud, a roll cloud, if you see an anvil cloud, if you see a wall cloud, if you see that, if you know those clouds, that gives you an indication of what you are up against. So yes, I highly agree with what Chasing for a Cause is saying. Once if you learn the basis of clouds, it helps you to visually see yourself, because too many people rely on the NWS to help them and save them in that situation. Now, of course, um, yes, they are the higher authority, but remember, now you're putting your hands into somebody else's hands. When if you can, if you are able-bodied to take things into your own hands, definitely take it into your own hands. And if you can see clouds, if you can read radar, and you don't have to even be a radar expert. If you can just see, the hook, if you can just kind of see the way that it's going, that is going to help you more than what the NWS will, because the NWS just unfortunately misses so many tornadoes because, and again, it's not them doing it on purpose. It is because of they only have the tools to utilize that they have. And again, radar is limited. It doesn't see all the way down to the ground. It doesn't punctuate all the way down to the ground. So it's always scanning be due to the curvature of the earth. So it's it doesn't scan all the way down. So um, so that's why we need storm chasers to see below like 3,000 feet. We need storm chasers to see what's happening below that level that radar cannot see. And again, unfortunately, there are several many tornadoes that don't get warned, um, and it's just unfortunate the way that happens. Um, and Jason Park says, take a spider's course. And he says, John is talking about everything that is in a spider's class. Thank you, Chasing for a Cause. Yes, definitely. I would definitely highly agree and take a spider's course. If you haven't, I would definitely say I recommend that. I have taken one. I have taken, I believe it's just, I've taken many classes. I can't remember which one it was with. I think it was it? I can't remember which one it was with, but it was so many years ago. But Sonia says, as of October, I'll be a storm spotter for 2 years. I may live in Washington State where tornadoes are rare, but we do have high winds here. Yes, you do. Tornadoes are rare in Washington, but again, they do happen, but very rarely. But yes, but to get back to what Chasing for a Cause says, yes, definitely take some sort of spotters course, some sort of training. Because like I said, I took with one of the main government spotter courses. Did that, and I loved it. Learned a lot from it. Even more than what I thought I would learn out of it. So just going in humble, be humble. Don't think that you know more than it, because you definitely want to keep an open mind and an open heart when you go into it. So, but it will teach you great things. It'll teach you about cloud formations. It will teach you about radar. It will teach you how to look at what you're looking at, storm wise. It'll teach you how to, for being like tornado preparedness and teach you things like that. So at least it did when I took them. It's probably way different now because that was quite some time ago. But again, yes, take a spider's course on how to just kind of view the sky, and it'll be very helpful what to look for. When it comes to a again, wall cloud, when it comes to a funnel cloud, when it comes to actually reporting that there is a tornado on the ground, because it's got to be, again, it's got to be in contact with the ground to be a tornado. So yeah, it's very awesome. So there's you can find those, I know through NOAA, and I think there's some other entities as well. So definitely take a spotters course. I would definitely highly recommend taking a spotters course if you have not. Um, but again, you don't have to be a radar scientist. You don't have to be a radar specialist to see and understand the radar. You don't have to be, that and everything. So don't let that intimidate you or anything like that. I know some people get intimidated by radar because they're like, well, it's just a lot of vibrant colors and a lot of other things, and there's like there's a lot going on there. But don't let it, and try not to let it intimidate you, because it's not as scary as it looks, or as scary as it might look to some people. So with that, but yes, definitely. Uh, when it comes to that, thank you, Zahiraya Riviera, or Zahira Riviera, for subscribing. Thank you so much. When it comes to that, so definitely thank you so much for subscribing. But yes, definitely take a spotters course if you can. I definitely highly recommend that. Definitely highly recommend. Definitely that for sure. Definitely so. But yes, welcome in. I'm gonna say Zahira. Zahira, that's an awesome name. Thank you so much for coming in here, for being in here. So, but yeah, so it's just a great, again, Smithville Tornado, just one of the strong EFIs. But again, hopefully you guys learned some information about Smithville that maybe you did not know about, uh, and why. Again, this is one of those tornadoes that if you talk about that within the storm chasing community or the weather community, a lot of people get excited when they talk about the 2011 Smithville tornado, and that again is due to um, just the extreme things that it caused. So there's quite a few great videos on the actual Smithville tornado on YouTube. I would recommend checking them out as well. There are some pretty well known YouTubers who have some great video, or they made some great video regarding the Smithville tornado. So definitely highly, highly suggest that you uh, check them out. But yeah, it's definitely, I would definitely check out tornadoes that aren't very highly publicized or made out, in the media, because the media is only going to put out the ones that usually either uh, cause the most damage, or the media is going to put out the ones that either cause the most loss of life or things of that nature. But uh, so a lot of times, yeah, I would highly suggest that you look at tornadoes that the media doesn't really put out there. But again, that if you dive deeper into it, into the storm chasing community and the weather community, you will find stuff like this. And again, this is why a lot of people get excited. A lot of storm chasers and a lot of people in the weather community get excited talking about Smithville tornado. Chasing for a Cause says, but if any one of you also need help, I'm here also. Just ask, or John can help too. Yes, thank you. Chasing for a Cause. Yes, please. If you guys have any whatever, and need help from Chasing for a Cause, uh, they are there to help as well. So please ask and reach out to them as well. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Chasing for a Cause, for offering that. That is very awesome. I appreciate that so much. But yeah, because this is what the community is about. The community is about growing each other and promoting each other, uh, and not holding each other back. So that's what I build this community off of. This community is about promoting each other and, again, making each other better and sharpening each other. As we sharpen each other, we all become better. So, and the more that any of us can be weather aware and weather prepared, the more that we are better off, to stay safe when it comes to severe weather, when it comes to tornadoes, when it comes to that, because you never know if you're going to be out driving, and storm might fire up and pop up, and then all of a sudden you have to put into gear your sense of survival, and that's going to kick in. So it always is good to be weather aware and to be able to look and see that cloud, or to see the formation, and maybe you can see the rain shaft, or you see the hell shaft, or you see whatever. You just make out some characteristics, and you're like, okay, I know which way I need to go, which way I should go, and things like that to get out of the path. So again, it's always good like that. So um, when it comes to that, so let's see here. We have Chasing for a Cause says, I used to work in a mental health field, and I know how scary it can be. Sure, absolutely. Uh, Mental health, just in what I want to say here. So I think you're talking about tornadoes themselves. I could be wrong, but just in case I'm wrong on that, but nonetheless, mental health is scary in itself. It can be very hard just on its own, obviously, and I know firsthand from that. Um, but also, um, but yes, and then yes, and mental health is obviously uh, you know, obviously that there's a lot of mental health issues that happen after tornadoes because the pure damage that's caused, and people are just aren't used to seeing. People just aren't used to seeing that type of damage. Yes, for sure. Or that type of carnage and destruction. So, yeah. So Jason Park Call says yes. People with storm anxiety. Yes, absolutely. Um, yeah, a lot of people have storm anxiety. I used to have storm anxiety. A lot. Um, I used to have. Yeah, I used to be petrified of storms. I used to be you know, just terribly scared of storms, like severe thunderstorms, tornadoes. Just very lots of anxiety, lots of stuff when it came to that. But thankfully, the good Lord healed me of that. And but yes, I used to be completely um, terrified when it came to storms. Um, so, but yeah, it's just very. Uh, and then Jason Barcall says, I am an adult peer support. Oh, okay. Adult peer support special. That's awesome. That's a cool thing to have. That's awesome. Or a cool thing to be. That's really cool when it comes to that. So that is awesome for that. So, but yeah. Any other questions or comments or concerns about Smithville? Anything about Smithville that stands out? That stands out to you? So because I know there's a lot that stands out to me. Maybe something you didn't know about, or maybe you already knew a lot about Smithville. Um, so anything stand out from Smithville to you? Anything um, that is standing out to you from that? So, and I am going to refresh the ticker down here. So, all right, that should be refreshed now. Okay, ticker is refreshed. So yes, it looks like so Smithville. Anybody have anything to add? Anything about Smithville? Anybody would like to mention to talk about? Smithville, again. Libby says, Before I answer that, Libby, everybody welcome Libby as a mod. Libby is a moderator now. Thank you, Libby, for being a excellent sister in Christ, for being a huge supporter and a huge encourager of my channel. So you are now a mod. So uh, everybody, um, please, can everybody say, please, congratulations to Libby. I don't know if congratulations is I don't even know if that's how it works, but at least, whatever. So, you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, but Libby, you're welcome. Uh, so everybody, yes, everybody, welcome Libby to the mod squad. Uh, Libby has or is always awesome. Ask a lot of questions. Very enthusiastic. Very great. Just a great supporter. Great all around. Great attitude. So definitely uh, believe in her abilities and capabilities, and believe in that trust. And also a strong sister in Christ. So very thankful for that. But yes, I do believe, Libby, though, that you asked why do you think why the road was rolled versus. Can you ask that again, please, Libby, just so I can see it in. So I make sure I can get it correct. What you were asking, that would be great, please. Um, when it comes, but yeah, I definitely want to try to answer that the best way that I can for you. Um, for that, so yeah, so let me know. Let me know, Libby, again, please, what you asked there. I appreciate that. So, but yes, welcome to the Mod Squad. Libby, welcome to the Mod Squad family. Very, very awesome for that. And I also uh, just very thankful for that. Um, so very, yes. So thank you. Libby says, why or how do you think the road was rolled versus destroyed? So I would definitely say because of the, if you're saying rolled versus destroyed, I would say, in my opinion, that I know and in my expertise, I would say that it was rolled, kind of peeled back because of the sheer strength of the wind force at that time. So just a sheer amount in that short amount of period. So what's happening basically? It's basically all of that force, all of that circular force down there on the ground. So what it's happening is it's basically hitting that road there. So instead of like picking it up and like tossing pieces here and there. It's basically everything that I know of. Everything is happening so quickly in such a short amount of time. So it basically just rolls because it's moving so quickly. It basically just rolls, kind of picks up that road like kind of rolls it a little bit like a fruit roll up or something. If I could kind of give like a analogy there. So, but to the best of my knowledge and best to my knowledge and the best to expertise that I know, short amount of time, so much wind inside of that force, and the way that the wind is hitting that surface, and so again, that's how I would say that that it got rolled versus just completely getting just annihilated and completely destroyed when it comes to that. So hopefully that answers that the best way that I know how to answer that. But again, I could be wrong. But again, that's from what I know. But again, I could be wrong on that. So hopefully that kind of, um, if I understood the question correctly, then hopefully I answered that the best way to my knowledge. That I know how to answer it. So hopefully, hopefully, Um, Let me know, Libby, if I went way off course and was explaining something else, or if that is what you were seeking and looking for. Uh, but again, maybe I was thinking of something else there. But again, I can. Again, I just from my expertise, I think that's what you were asking about. Um, And tornadoes, remember, tornadoes just do such random weird things, right? Uh, they'll roll roads, they'll just, then they'll, carry on down the road and then they'll destroy the rest of it. It's just very random how they do things. So, uh, it's very random when it comes to that. So, um, tornadoes have a mind of their own. It's still the $1 million question as why, and we think that we, in the tornado science community, think that we know why a tornado can hit one house but leave the house next to it standing, um, and so it's so it's still so much to learn. It's still so much to understand, and there's stuff that we're just never going to learn and understand, but we're going to keep trying to do it. And yeah, Libby says they do things that are beyond human logic. Yes, they do. Uh, they do, and they continue to do things, and they continue to um, do things like that to where it makes people just in awe, and uh, they hop and they skip and they occlude, and they dance, they go in circles. If you ever look at, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but if you ever look at the path of the Moore, Oklahoma, the 2013 one, let me check chat here real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything. Chasing for a Cause says, I think the scariest thing about tornadoes is they can shift on the spot. Yes. Yes, and that's exactly what I'm just about to get into. Chasing for a Cause, great point. So, if you ever look at a tornado path after the NWS has gone back and surveyed that path, and they're able to draw a line and get and match it up with radar, and they're able to draw that pathway out. So, if you ever go back and look at that tornado's path, it is almost never ever in a straight line. It is jagged, or it's in different ways. It's moving just random and chaotic and erratic, or erratic. It's moving in all kinds of different different. It's never in a straight line. So a good example of that again is the Moore, Oklahoma EF5 that happened in 2013. So if you go back and look at that one actually looped, and so it's going on its track, right? It's doing its track, and then it actually stopped, or it not really basically stopped, but it basically does a circle, like a loop, so it basically went over the same spot twice. So where it did that loop at, it hit the same spot twice, and then it carried on its way. So not only can they loop and stay almost stationary, um, it's just very random. So if you go back and look at that at the EF5 there in Moore, Oklahoma, you will see that and go, whoa, that neighborhood got hit basically twice by the same tornado. So that tornado basically just looped there. It's not moving. So imagine if you were waiting for that tornado to move out of your neighborhood. It did not right away because it made a loop there. So very, very cool in that sense. So Debbie says sometimes tornadoes can move from left to right. Uh, uh, or they can go in different directions as well. Yes. Uh, the Chasing for a Cause says the dancing tornado that happened last year. There's all the time tornadoes are dancing. They're dancing all the time. Uh, Chasing for a Cause says, and the one that killed 1,300 people. Uh, that's horrible. Yeah, that's. Libby says Enid was unpredictable like that. Enid was wild. Yeah, if you're talking about Enid from this year, um, if you look at that footage from Enid, that is some pretty wild footage from Enid. Um, when it comes to that. So again, yes. Uh, Chasing for a Cause says, oh, 1989. Okay. I'm not. Which one? Hold on, let me make sure I see. 1989. I don't know if I'm familiar with that one. I mean, at least off the top of my head, it's not ringing a bell from '89. But Libby says yes this year. Yeah. So if you look at the Enid tornado that happened this year, it is right now currently the highest rated tornado this year. It is an EF4. It's the only EF4 that is currently on record this year. Every other tornado has been an EF3 or less rating. So we only have one current EF4 on record this year, and that is the Enid one. So that is very good in terms of strength and power that we. So it's good that we don't have any more EF4s, and of course it's good that we don't have the EF5s. But the Enid one stands out because it is currently the only EF4 tornado that's been rated this year. It is the highest rated one this year. Debbie says even the tornado that John McKinney got in Kankakee, Illinois this year was the EF3. Yeah, so that actually happened. So I'm from Chicago. I'm from a suburb just to the south west of Chicago. So I'm not in the city limits. I'm just outside of the city limits. Um, but so Kankakee is actually my wife's cousin lives in Kankakee. So Kankakee from us is not very far. I want to say maybe 40 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles at best. So that was basically in my backyard when that happened this year. That happened in, I believe it was late March, sometime in March. I know that. But yes, it was nasty because um, it was nasty because Chasing for a Cause says Dalatapur was a tornado. Was that in Bangladesh? Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, let me know if that was the one in Bangladesh. Because I know Bangladesh had a tornado uh, that I believe had the most fatalities out of all the tornadoes like ever recorded on in record keeping. Um, so that does sound like Bangladesh, like from Bangladesh to me. Uh, yes, the Kankakee, yes, the Kankakee uh, uh, one was very very strong because again that was like in my basically almost in my backyard, and that was so nasty that I believe the hailstone, one of the hailstones that fell that day, actually I believe got recorded as the largest hailstone ever in Illinois history. I don't know if they confirmed it, if the NWS actually said it was legit and actually, but I do know that it was a monstrous hailstones that were coming down that day. So I do believe if the NWS accepted the findings, then it would have been the largest hailstone in Illinois history. So, fun fact out of Kankakee Storm from that. So, when it comes to that, so um, but yeah, that Kankakee was pretty nasty. So I remember that storm, and then it went off to the east, and it went through where I am originally from, Indiana, so close to my hometown over in Indiana. It went through close over there. Then there ended up being a tornado emergency issued um, for a little town called Knox, Indiana. Um, but thankfully the tornado had thankfully the tornado went a little bit off to the north of Knox, because had it gone through Knox, it would have basically destroyed the whole town. So, just very, very thankful that that's what happened that day. yeah, and it's just chasing for a causes. I think that was the one that got Brandon Kopic's windshield. Probably, most likely. I think Freddie's windshield got busted out that day too. But I could be wrong. So, uh, when it comes, I think Freddie McKinney's windshield got busted out that day too as well. When it comes to that, so but yeah, definitely Kankakee was definitely a very wild situation that day. So when it comes to that, so and then it's it, and it's just weird. Like you have to really think about like so I think about and this is just kind of get just sometimes like where things set up at. I'll get to that here in a second. Debbie says, I know the storm John McKinney was on the Kankakee, Illinois, Bradley, and Westlake. Yes. So it went through Westlake, yep. And then it kept going east over towards Knox and everything. Yep. And that was, uh, yeah, that was a very bad supercell for sure. So, but like I was saying, so a couple weeks back, about 2 or 3 weeks back, there was an EF3 tornado that came through Streeter, Illinois, which that's just off to my southwest. Um, and then there was another one. And then it kind of slowed down for a little bit, and then a storm popped up. A little bit of, almost around the Kankakee area again, but it ended up going through uh, Maryville, Indiana, and uh, and then there was one that actually went through. If you guys follow Connor Croft, through his hometown, which is I believe it's Couts, Kouts, Indiana, or one right around that. It's kind of right around that area over there. He is not too. His hometown is not too far away from my hometown. So, but yeah. So but again, Kankakee almost got hit twice. They came pretty close to getting hit twice this year. Um, so it was yes. So had that Streeter one stayed on the ground, potentially could have made it that way. But there was another storm that fired off just a little bit to the south and east of that that almost made it up into Kentucky as well. I mean, sorry, into Kankakee. So yeah, so Kankakee almost got hit twice. So it's would have been very unfortunate. Um, but yeah, it's you just it's sometimes people think, and especially here around Chicago, people think, oh, you know, Chicago is protected by the skyscrapers. And I've heard weird thing. I've heard it all. People are, you know, it's protected by skyscrapers. It's protected by Lake Michigan. It's protected by, you know, this. It's protected by no. Chicago is not protected by anything. There is nothing that would stop a tornado, you know, supercell going straight down the center of town. So Chicago just happened to be lucky. There are tornadoes that happen quite a bit in Chicago, at least in the city limits. You just don't. Sometimes it just you just don't hear about it because it doesn't happen like in the actual downtown. But there are quite a bit of tornadoes, quite a few that happen in the city limits. But yes, but the city itself is not protected by Lake Michigan. It's not protected by skyscrapers. It's not protected by any of that. That is just an old wives' tale. That is just, um, you know, it is tornadoes can and do and will in fact go through cities. When it comes to that, so Libby says he is one I like to watch. That was one of those 4 screen days, and I felt like I needed more to keep up. Nice, very nice. When it comes to that, for sure, definitely. Uh, that's awesome. it seems like Freddie loses his windshield quite a bit, and which I think is because he's always, of course, he's always up close to the action. So that's always, you're pretty much going to lose your windshield, which I think is awesome. I think he's not afraid to put himself in. He's smart, obviously. He's calculative, and he's very smart. When it comes to putting himself in the right position and also being able to have an escape route to get out of that. So very he's obviously very awesome at what he does. Very proud of him for you know just a lot of the great work that he does out there. So um, to help move storm chasing forward and to help move storm chasing along. So yeah, yeah, of course, yep. And John McKinney, of course, yep. And Libby says, yeah, he had a great teacher. Yeah, definitely, uh, uh, definitely. So, but yeah, awesome. Very thankful, very proud of brother John. He's Pastor John's awesome at storm chasing as well. And but again, yeah, Freddie is awesome at what he does. Um, Again, that's why he's one of the top. At least in my mind, he is one of the top storm chasers out there. So um, I know people have their favorites, and people, like to whomever and whatever. But I believe that Freddie is one of the top storm chasers out there. Sonny says Freddie saved that one family in Texas and still keeps in touch with them, which is awesome. He will always be a part of their lives. Yes, that video was awesome. And if you guys have not ever watched that video, please go back and watch, or please watch that video. I do have, if you look at my profile, um, Freddie's YouTube channel is linked in my profile, so you can find his profile there. And but yes, I would definitely, if you have not ever seen that video, please watch that video. And that will show you the ups and downs of what storm chasing is. That will show you um, just how you can go from a high in storm chasing to go to a low. That shows you that should actually be a great teaching video. And hopefully Freddie can use that, or will use that, or maybe he already does use it as a teaching video for storm chasers to just teach that you can go from such a high to such a low really quickly. And what I mean by that is because when he's when he's fixated on the tornado and he's chasing the tornado, he has that rush and he has that high and everything else. But then the low comes is when he unfortunately encounters the family who's hurt and the child's hurt and everything else. So yes, so storm chasing is full of highs and then unfortunately lows within a split second. And so that I think would be a great tool, teaching tool um, for storm chasers. Just to show them the true raw, like, hey, yeah, it's all fun. It's awesome while you get the video of the tornado. It's awesome when you get to see that and you get to be up close into it. Be up close to it. But there is the sad part, and there is the hard part that comes with the search and rescue, and seeing a kid with a broken whatever, or seeing the husband limping, and seeing the lady needing help. So yeah, so definitely, I think that would be a great teaching video, definitely for storm chasers for sure. Um, and just, but yeah, I do know he ended up going on Dr. Phil for that. So I mean, great on him. If you guys haven't seen a Dr. Phil episode, I would recommend watching a Dr. Phil episode of him and the family on there. Um, when it comes to that, so um, but yeah, I would definitely you know definitely watch the Dr. Phil episode, but definitely I would definitely watch Freddie's video if you have not seen his video on YouTube. And Freddie's young. Still has a long, long way to go still in storm chasing. Uh, so yes, Sonia says that she's seen it, which is great. But again, if you have not seen it, I would highly, highly recommend you seeing it. So um, when it comes to that, but yes, the video is very, very awesome. And again, the video can be hard, can be tough to watch if you don't like, or if you can't handle, seeing people hurt in real life and seeing a child hurt and seeing, well, actually, a couple kids hurt. But um, again, if it shows the raw, true nature of what storm chasing is. Um, and sometimes, again, storm chasers don't understand that side of the coin. Um, but like Chase for a Cause said, and that I seen just a little bit ago, search and rescue, or helping is paramount. Is basically, to paraphrase, is the number one thing, because uh, you have to provide that help and aid to somebody who needs that, and right away, because you are going to be the first one there. There's not going to be any police there. There's not going to be any firemen there. There's not going to be any paramedics there yet until you call them. So when you come up upon that scene, you are the first responder. So, and that is something that you should go for and go directly towards. And I know, especially if that's what you just seen, a house get destroyed or whatever. When it comes to that, so yes, so great, yeah, so definitely great for that, yeah, but definitely would definitely uh, again, I definitely watched the video for sure from Freddie's YouTube, and then obviously the Dr. Phil episode as well. Definitely would highly recommend that as well when it comes to that. So, um, have emotions. Most suspect that guys shouldn't, and that is wrong because they have feelings too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with showing your emotions. I mean, but yeah, definitely. I know it's kind of like, uh, that's just the world talk, though, right? The world tries to say, well, you're a guy, you're supposed to be stronger and be whatever. But it's like you have to be. It's actually strong to show emotions than not to show emotions. So it doesn't mean you're weak. It actually means that you are strong enough to show your emotions. And of course, as men, as a man, we do have emotions, and we do obviously, and we obviously should be able to show those emotions, and whether that's crying, whether that's happy, whether that's sad, whatever it may be, and in that to be the norm. And but yeah, definitely show your emotions, no matter what that emotion is, for sure. Because that definitely would have been emotional, uh, uh, for somebody to um, yeah, definitely. For especially like if I were to have come up upon that like Freddie did, that would have been very emotional for sure. Definitely. How would that not be? I mean, that's just human instinct. You would be emotional over that. Uh, to see kids hurt, to see, a mom and dad and a dog, and so of course that would be extremely emotional to come up upon that, and just to see the true devastating nature of that when it comes to that. Thank you, Jay Morrison, for subscribing. Um, thank you so much. You are very awesome. You are very well appreciative. Thank you so much. So yeah, definitely welcome in, Jay. Thank you so much for that. Making the way towards 2,800 subscribers. Pretty shortly, because of you awesome people, I will be at 3,000. That is very awesome when it comes to that. So, um, thank you, Loquito. Thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Very, very awesome of you. Thank you. Yeah, definitely, definitely what Sonia says. That's very great, Sonia, for sure. Awesome when it comes to that. So yeah, it's storm chasing again. Storm chase, and you guys have heard me say, storm chasing again is not for the weak of heart. It's not glamorous. Like it's not. You can ask Brother John that. You can ask. I mean, it might be glamorous in certain ways to people, but it's not what people think it is. Uh, it's mainly 95% driving, and then you're going to be driving even more when you're chasing a train. So it's basically almost all driving. Uh, it's just, it's not as glamorous as the media makes it out to be. It takes respect for the weather, but it takes respect for yourself. It takes commitment, dedication, and being comfortable with failing. Uh, because you are going to fail as a storm chaser, just like we fail in normal jobs and other things like that. But uh, it is definitely something like Sonia says here. There's so many that do think it's all fun and games, and it's not. You're correct. It is not fun and games. It is not. If you are going to be a storm chaser and do it professionally, which means you are going to make money off of it, which means that you are going to make your living off of that, you have got to be willing to drive 10 to 12 hours or even longer to get to the setup spot. And then you have to drive around again for however long it takes for you those storms to fire, and for you to chase those storms, and for you to hopefully have chosen the right storm. Because most of the time you're not going to choose the right storm. A lot of times you'll set up in an area where no storms will fire. You'll set up in an area where storms might fire, but it might not be the storms that you're looking for. So yes, there are going to be a lot of bust. You are going to have a lot of bust days out there. Um, so again, you have to be comfortable with failing. It's just going to happen. So when it comes to that, and you have to be willing to actually chase the storm, and that means you have to be willing to go the distance to where those storms are at, because only ever will they ever, if they pass by your neighborhood, will they ever actually come to you. You need to go to them. So um, it takes commitment. It takes time away being from family. It takes time away from, being wherever else. It takes dedication. It takes a lot of that, and just being a part of that and doing that. So, Sonya said something really good here. I just seen it. What'd Sonya say? I missed it. Where did it go at? Oh yeah, Sonia says, "What bothers me is the couch chasers that try to tell the chaser what they should do and not do. Not not the professional." Yeah, I can definitely see that for sure. Definitely. So, Um, Definitely, yes. It's kind of like when you're watching sports or something, and you're like, oh, why that? Why did he throw the pass that way? Why did he, uh, you know, he had a guy wide open. And it's like, uh, we don't we're not professionals at sports or whatever else. It's like so. Definitely, a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking that goes on there, and things of that nature. But yes, definitely, Sonia, 100%. Definitely agree with you on that. Uh, Definitely. So when it comes to that, so Libby says, and it is important to get help if you are struggling with what you have seen in those hard moments. Yes, definitely. 100% definitely. I would definitely recommend, talk to somebody. If you've seen some horrible aftermath, if you've seen some horrible, you've walked up and seen some unfortunate, obviously, people who have passed away. You've seen, animals that have been unfortunately killed. You've seen children hurt. You've seen, just lives completely wrecked. That plays very heavily on your mind. And remember that you cannot unsee that. That is something that you can't unsee. So, to talk about it and to get it out, I would highly recommend doing that and getting help. With it. It actually means that you're strong when you seek for help. It does not mean you're weak. It means that you are strong. So, when it comes to that, so yep, you can't unsee it. So just like that's just like, yeah, great. That like I was talking about, like chasing for a cause points out is yes, you can't unsee that. So, so no, Sonia, you are good. This is an open space. You can talk about that as much as you want. Definitely not bothersome or nothing like that whatsoever. Definitely, um, yeah, I know we have talked about it before, but again, uh, um, yeah, definitely. It definitely is a topic that it should be taken very serious. It should be taken um not lightly, right? So, because you are dealing with life and death when you are out storm chasing. All it takes is one wrong turn, one wrong instance of you hesitating, one wrong, just anything. It's all it takes, and that could be the difference between you living or you dying. And again, the tornado does not care about you. The tornado does not care uh, about you whatsoever. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about the person next to you. It doesn't care about your family who's 100 miles away. It doesn't care about you. And it's not going to discriminate. It doesn't care what color you are, what race you are. It doesn't care about anything like that. It doesn't matter. And all it takes is, again, one wrong move. And that's all it takes. And that's why a lot of times you will hear about storm chasers, unfortunately, um, passing away, getting hit, getting seriously hurt, things of that nature because they've made a wrong decision or a wrong choice. And so, again, all it takes is one. That's it. Libby says, just what did Libby say here? Libby said, she say, yeah, you guys can talk about anything. This is what Fireside Chats is all about. This is what my channel is all about. My channel is all about talk. Of course, we're gonna talk about any topics, man. Topics that are meaningful topics. Yeah. So this is what I want. This is how we grow as a team. Uh, Scroll back up here and see what Libby said. I saw something. Uh, Alright, I must have lost. Must have lost. I lost my spot, but it is what it is. Oh no, yeah, Libby says, and as with any memory, it may be triggered when you least expect it. Yes. Um, through a smell or a sound or even an image that reminds you of the moment. Yes, that is very true. Definitely. Very great point, Libby. Yes, smells can bring back memories. Um, uh, just a sound, like you said too, a sound can as well. In certain in any type of imagery that you see. So yes, a very great point that a lot of our senses that we have can bring back even touch. Touch something might bring back a memory. So all of our senses can bring back memories. So very great point when it comes to that. And then I saw, what did I see here? Uh, Jason for a cause says, I believe he said, I have PTSD. Uh, that, obviously, for those you don't know what that is, that's post traumatic stress disorder, which is classified uh, as a mental health issue. So yes, PTSD um, is very very real. It's a very very um, common in terms of things of people who have seen traumatic events or have been through traumatic events. It's very common for people to have PTSD after that. So, such as being in war, such as seeing traumatic things like coming up upon, again, like a storm chaser coming up upon and seeing, um, unfortunately, people who are deceased, seeing, some of the worst of the worst, so a lot of times PTSD is brought on, um, you know, um, some sort of traumatic event when it comes to that. So yes, and yes, it is very real. There are people who say, "Oh, that stuff like that is not real." No, it is 100% real, and there are a lot of people, a lot of folks who suffer from PTSD, and that's unfortunate. Um, but just like any mental illness, just like any mental health issue, it is very real. And people with PTSD are people that suffer from any type of mental illness or mental should be treated with love and grace and mercy as well when it comes to that. So, but yes, thank you for chasing for a cause to let us know about your about PTSD. Thank you for being open about that. I ain't chasing for a cause says I don't understand why they keep oh, thank you. Um Thank you for subscribing, Leo. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you, Leo. Great advice there, chasing for a cause. Yes, that is really great advice. Chase storms that aren't severe so you can get a handle or possibly a some more of a learning type curve when it comes to that. That would be actually um, when it comes to that. So yes, definitely. Very very good point out there, chasing for a cause. Definitely. When it comes to that. So uh, yeah, I definitely wouldn't recommend that like your first chase, like you go out and it's like a moderate risk or whatever, enhanced risk or whatever it may be, but you go out and you leave the comfort of your own home, of your own city, of your own town, and you head out to, let's say you're headed out to Kansas or somewhere, and you've never ever been there, and you don't know the road structure, you don't know um, any type of surroundings, you don't know anything like that, I would highly, highly not recommend that you leave the comfort um, of the area that you know if you're gonna go out chasing, like to start chasing, because definitely to go out somewhere that you don't know is definitely something that could put you in peril, something that could definitely hold you back, and it could actually make things a lot worse. So I would definitely agree, or I do definitely agree with what um, um, definitely would agree with what Chasing for a Cause says. So uh, let's see here. Great job, Libby. Yeah, Libby says God uses hard places to make us as diamonds. Yes, I agree. I agree. Yes. Um, definitely agree. Definitely. That's very, very well put, Libby. Very, very great. Very great inspiration there. Very great inspirational words there for sure. Definitely. Yes, God. Yes, God does do that stuff. Absolutely. So, absolutely. Chasing for a cause says just chase your local rain shower. Hey, if that's what you got to do, chase it. But at least understand that it's chasing means chasing, and it doesn't mean you're gonna sit there and storm is just always gonna come. It next to you. The chasing is chasing. So chasing for a cause says I live in Kentucky and it's mountains. Oh yeah, that's yeah, that definitely would be that definitely would be definitely tougher on mountains for sure. You couldn't even see the big bear, the big tornado coming at you. That's that would be rough, yeah. Thank you, Angel, for subscribing. Thank you so much. You are awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Uh, but yeah, no, yeah, I do know that if you listen to a lot of the professional storm chasers, if you listen to them, they will tell you that chasing Dixie Alley, which Dixie Alley is going to be like Alabama and Mississippi and places like that, chasing that is rough because of all of the trees and all of the hills that are around. So I can imagine in Kentucky as well too. And then Julie says, still here, but I'm going to hop. Thanks for the stream, John. Bye, all, and God bless. Thank you, Julie, for being here. Thank you so much. Very awesome of you being here. Uh, thank you so much. God bless you, Julie. Thanks again for being such a huge supporter and such a huge encourager. Thank you so much, Julie, for that. So, and I missed, who did I miss? Thank you, Edgar, for subscribing. Thank you. Um, make sure I didn't miss anybody else there. So, uh, yeah, awesome. But yeah, it's really cool, really good. Just yeah, definitely make sure that if you are new to storm chasing, definitely make sure you don't go out of your comfort zone and somewhere you don't know where the heck you're going at. So, especially if you're doing it alone. If you're doing it alone, that's not definitely would not recommend that. So, uh, I wouldn't recommend you travel halfway across the country to somewhere you don't know what you're doing or somewhere that you don't know where you're at. And then all of a sudden you get caught in chaser convergence and you're a newbie and you don't know what the heck you're doing. And then you're going to start freaking out because you don't understand that you can't hardly move. It's bumper to bumper. And then what happens if there's a tornado bearing down on you? Um, and so definitely I would not recommend going out of your um, area, uh, especially on your own. That could be very dangerous when it comes to that. Because you cannot always rely on GPS maps. As we know, Google gets things wrong, Waze gets things wrong, Apple Maps gets things wrong. So you can't always rely on your GPS map. It's just not always going to be correct when it comes to that. So, but yes, very awesome, very great stuff. So making the way towards 2,800 subscribers on YouTube, which is very awesome. Twitch, thank you so much to everybody who's watching on Twitch. Thank you to everybody so much who's watching on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who's watching on Facebook. Thank you to everybody who is watching on Kick. You guys are all awesome. Uh, before I uh, before I end the stream here, let's jump over to the NWS website and let's look to see if there's anything that they have of um, for an outlook, such as like anything more different or anything different than what we had earlier today. So let's jump over to the NWS website. So um, currently right now, this is a current day one. So yeah, that's just got updated about an hour and a half ago. But that's a current day one for today right now. Slight risk still. But let's look at tomorrow. If we look at tomorrow they do have a little slight patches of a slight risk tomorrow. But not driven by tornado risk. So that's going to be driven by either wind or driven by hail. Is what that's going to be driven by. So when it comes to that, so I don't know if Pastor John would be out chasing at all, but he might. You just never know. But again, it's looking right now. Um, there is not a threat right now for tornadoes. So what they have for the day 3 outlook. Yeah, that is most likely to change. But I don't know. Maybe, maybe Pastor John might be out tomorrow. I don't know. Be cool if he was. Who here thinks that Pastor John might be out tomorrow chasing? Show of hands. Who thinks yes or no? So who thinks yes that he'll be out? Who thinks that he won't be? So it'd be cool if he is. I don't know. I don't know if he will be, but it will be awesome if he is though. Out chasing tomorrow, so which would be so cool. So, because I know he did not chase yesterday, and he did not chase today as well. And there is a slight risk. It was a marginal. There's really no tornado risk, but at the end of the day, you just never know sometimes. So what might happen? So, but again, to recap, uh, going to recap here, and then I'm going to sign off here in a couple of minutes here because you guys have all been awesome. You guys have all been great. Um, but yeah, but to recap, just gave a little bit overview of kind of the weather setup for April 27th. Kind of gave you that 60,000 foot view of what that kind of looked like that day. Uh, and then looking at the slim um, what we would call it the slim method, or just looking at the looking at the shear for that day. The shear was completely off the charts that day. Lift was in place. Tons of lift was in place. Instability um, was completely there, and then the moisture was all there. So slim was all there that day for April 27th. So but yeah, so looking at the overview of that, and then looking at uh, getting into Smithville itself and some of the folklore and tornadoes surrounding Smithville. So um, hopefully you all enjoyed that. Hopefully you all enjoyed learning about Smithville and some overview of that. Um, so when it comes to that, and but yeah, but you guys are awesome. You guys make my streams awesome. You guys are the ones who help me uh, to continue to do this. You guys continue to support me. Again, and I'm very humbled by you guys all tuning in and for choosing to spend your time, which is extremely valuable, with a guy like me in an orange shirt. So just very thankful about that. Thankful to the people on Twitch for watching. Thankful to the people on YouTube for watching. Thank you to the people on Facebook for watching. And thank you to the people on Kick for watching. So, um, yeah, so it's just very thankful for that. Thankful for all you moderators. Thankful for all you mods. Thankful for everybody who's um, popped in and out. Thank you to everybody who's just um, been in and out today and who has shared, who has liked, who has subbed, uh, everything. So very thankful and blessed for all of you and for everybody for this community and for growing my channel and everything. So, but again, very thankful for all of you. Great chats, uh, great discussions, just great things about learning, great things about just great talks all around, and that's why I love doing these for, is to help just help us all to come together and to just chat, and talk about things. So So hopefully you guys find this space as a great space to obviously learn about weather, but to also to be able to come and talk about, have great discussions about different topics. Uh, so very thankful for Libby, very thankful for Sonia, very thankful again for Debbie, very thankful for everybody who's in here. Um, um, very thankful for just all of that. Very thankful that we are all pretty much brought here together by brother John, but mostly importantly than that, God has brought us all together. He has used brother John as a vessel, so to bring us. So, but again, that is very it's all God's handiwork uh for everything. So hopefully Pastor John, brother John will be out chasing tomorrow. um and I do plan on streaming again tomorrow sometime. If he does stream, it will be uh, um, after, most likely after that. Um, but I do have things lined up. And again, this is a part of the weather series. This is a part of weather teaching and things of that. So hopefully you guys learned something tonight. Hopefully you guys had a great time. Hopefully you guys are learning from this and everything else. Thank you, Chasing for a Cause, for a lot of your great insight, for a lot of your great um, um, when it comes to storm chasing. Thank you again to all the moderators. Thank you to everybody else on all the platforms. Thank you so much. You guys are all awesome. And let me know if there's anything that I can be praying for. Let me know if you have any prayer requests. Uh, Please let me know. Would be very willing to pray for whatever you have any prayer requests for. And again, you guys all have a great night. Hopefully, get some dinner. Hopefully, get some sleep or whatever you're going to do. But please have fun doing it, and just enjoy that. So again, very thankful for all of you. Thank you guys so much for everything. I'm very blessed for all of your support. Thank you so much. And like always, be brave and let the Lord